Super chat, ding, ding, ding. Money rain and let it bling, 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 bling. Thank you, keep it coming in. Jono, we up, we win. And if you don't, you're gay.
The sipping oat milk latte's got the skinny jeans on tight. Saying problematic daily, preaching wrong from right. But we're here to shake it up, bring some old school noise. It's time to crank the volume, say goodbye to soy boys. No more soy, we're breaking the law. Turning up the heat, let the story be told. No more soy, we're living it loud. Ditch the cow smoothies, we're rocking this crowd. They're tweeting about their feelings, got their man buns in a twist. Quoting self-help gurus, got a vision board checklist. But we're grilling steaks tonight, no tofu in our plans. Raising up our glasses, real life's in our hands. No more soy, we're breaking the mold. Turning up the heat, let the story be told. No more soy, we're living it loud. Ditch the cow smoothies, we're rocking this crowd. We're not here to hate, just to have some fun. Live a little bolder, soak up all the sun. Trade the avocado toast for a burger and some fries. Laugh a little louder, got that fire in our eyes. No more soy, we're breaking the mold. Turning up the heat, let the story be told. No more soy, we're living it loud. Ditch the cow smoothies, we're rocking this crowd. So here's to good times, let's keep it real. No shade, just vibes, that's the way we feel. The soy's been destroyed, but we're all still friends. Party's just beginning, let's do it again!
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Cool Stream Live. I am your host, as usual, Cool Vic. How's everybody doing tonight? Let me just brighten this light up a little bit. It's a little dim in here. How's everybody going? What's today? Thursday? How's everybody's Thursday going? Hardy was first. Well, I thought he was going to be first. Fortunately for him, Podcast Lover was first for the $10. Thank you very much, brother. Podcast Lover knows I can be bought, and he has bought in the first spot with the 10. So thank you very much, Podcast Lover, and thank you very much for getting that Super Chat goal started. Appreciate it. Real Detroit Dabbler, good to see you. Cat Quack. Tim Lorenz, good to see you. T-Wave. Alucard over there on the R side, good to see you. He's always holding it down over there. Good to see you, all you R side peeps over there. You can never forget the R side peeps. Leroy, good to see you. A Capital Flu. Wet Willie, I may not be first, but I like the stream, and my wife is now a documented citizen in the Coolverse. Hell yeah, brother. So Crates. Intel is wild. Legendary CEO, good to see you. Flee for Your Lives is over there too on the R side. Good to see you. Human Being, we watching Rob's debate? No, I'm having my own debates. It's debate night, I guess. Debate me, bro. But we'll get to that in just a minute. Nick Sheldon. MK Infinity, you help me with an AI video? Yeah, that'll be good. I forgot the unlikable one was on PTL today. Oh, yeah. I want to review that. Not sure if I'll have time today, but probably tomorrow. Angela, good to see you. A lot of people in here. All right. All right. So we're going to be having a debate tonight. Someone challenged me to a debate on, I know the title of the stream is called Orange Man Bad or Good, but really the debate prompt is something like where is it? I might get it a little off. But it's pretty much, is Donald Trump good or bad for America? So that was the prompt. So I just made it funny in the stream title, but actually it's called Donald Trump, is he good or bad for America? I'm going to be defending Donald Trump. My guest, who I'm going to introduce right now, will be not defending Trump. We'll be pointing out why he's actually bad. So without further ado, let me introduce to you. Where is he at? There he is. Donald. Donald, good to see you. Real Talk Politics. Good to see you, dude.
Hey, good to see you. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay.
All right, all right. So, did you want to do this formally? Like, did you want to have any introductions, or did you just want to get right to it?
I mean, we can do introductions if you like. We can do that.
Okay. If you want, we could do how does a 7-minute intro sound?
Ooh, 7 minutes sounds a little long, but I guess I can do that.
We could do 5 minutes too, just to make it sure. You don't have to use the whole time either.
Okay. But yeah, you can go ahead if you want to start, or we can flip a coin or whatever.
Yeah, I could start.
Okay.
All right. So, I think Donald Trump is good for America. Honestly speaking, like in his second term, I haven't been as impressed as his first term. You know, he's made mistakes his second term. I think he's made more than probably his first. Also, sometimes I think he could be a little too nice. I personally wish that sometimes he was more of the debater that, not the debater, the dictator that the left portrays him as. I think if he was a little bit more, I wouldn't say harsher, but stronger in that sense, he would actually be much more effective and better than he was. However, he is facing a lot of pushback. Not only is he going against the left, but even people in his own party haven't really been working with him. So that's going to cause a lot of setbacks. But overall, what I like about Trump is that I feel like he does care about this country. He does care about the American people. And he's at least accomplished getting the illegal immigration down. What is it? Net zero illegal immigration. He's accomplished that. Also, because of his Supreme Court justice picks, we also don't have nationwide legalized abortion. So that's definitely a plus. Also, finally, I think with him getting reelected, it's kind of shifted our country back into, like, our culture back into a good direction, because under Biden and the left's tyranny, we definitely saw a lot of censorship online. We saw the forced the pronouns with the transgenders. We saw the transing of children, allowing the men and women's sports, the women's bathrooms and such. We had a bunch of the gay pride stuff, which I don't think was a positive at all. And I think with Trump getting reelected, I think it's we're starting to see a cultural shift where that's, I mean, this year alone, like with Gay Pride Month, that wasn't as shoved down our throats as it usually has been. And so I think Donald Trump, for those reasons alone, has been beneficial for our country. And I think that's all I got to say. So I will yield the rest of my time. And Donald, whenever you're ready, I will start the timer for you.
Okay. I will start with Donald Trump is very bad for America for several different reasons. As far as precedent, when it comes to other presidents, he's consolidated executive power into the presidency. He's also overseen a different level of corruption, including his first day in office, like 2 days before he even walked into the White House. He his crypto company, World Liberty Financial, took in several $1 billion from the Saudi Arabians. and that also increased his net worth. There's been no other president that's increased by the billions like Donald Trump has in net worth. And he's used this White House to pretty much oversee a White House of corruption. Everybody in that White House is taking money from different avenues. If you want to look at Kalshi with his sons, if you want to look at, some of the not so illegal gambling apps out there, all of his family is invested in all of those apps. If you want to look at, and that's just one angle when it comes to corruption. Another angle, foreign policy. That whole situation in Iran was a complete disaster. He acted as if when things first popped off that no one knew that they would shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which is a complete oversight by the most powerful man in this country, in the world, for a matter of fact. Also, he's said that this Iran war would end within 2 weeks, then another 2 weeks, then another 2 weeks. Now we had a deal on the table. As far as I'm aware, they're striking again, and he says that temporary order is off, and he doesn't care about it anymore. So I guess our gas prices will stop going down for the time being. Also, the tariffs, a complete disaster. It destroyed our economy. It raised inflation. Inflation has been going up. Gas prices has been going up. Groceries have been going up. The only reason Walmart just recently came out and said that they would lower prices is because they got a refund from the president's tariffs. So, I mean, there are several different ways that this president is detrimental to this country. And including domestically. But I'll talk about the rest of that throughout this debate.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that introduction, Donald. So I guess with those introductions out of the way, I guess we could begin the back and forth. The first thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you said something about the corruption because of his net worth going up by billions of dollars, right?
Yes.
And the crypto
president.
scandal.
Yeah. No other president.
No other president.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No other president has increased their net worth as much as Donald Trump. He's, I think the closest example was like maybe Biden, but even then he's 10x Biden. He's 10 times whatever Biden got at this point.
Yeah, but Biden, do you know like what his net worth before he went into politics and then what it is now?
I'm talking about the White House.
What do you mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about too. Like, ever since he got
since he's been in politics, but the White House specifically. Since Biden was in the White House, his net worth was on par with every other president. Yes, of course it's going to grow because he's the president of the most powerful country in this world. But Donald Trump has taken advantage of several different avenues, including crypto, to take investments from foreign countries.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that because you're saying, well, that's corrupt. But the thing is that, like, bottom line, what I'm asking is, do you think Donald Trump would still be a billionaire even if he wasn't president? Like, he never became president?
He was already a billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, what about all these other politicians? Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, all these people that got into government, their net worths went significantly up. Ilhan Omar, for example.
Let me clarify my earlier statement. Before Donald Trump initially decided to get in politics, I don't believe he was exactly a billionaire. He was, what do you call it? A centennial millionaire? He was in the hundreds of millions, but he wasn't a billionaire, which is a whole magnitude of increase in wealth. There's a significant difference between $100 million and $1 billion, right?
Correct. Well, let's assume that's true. You don't think eventually he would have been a billionaire even if he never became president at all?
Yeah, I can use that same logic for Biden.
You really think Joe Biden would have also became a millionaire if he would have never entered politics?
He's a well-connected white guy, so yeah.
Bernie Sanders, Ilhan Omar, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, they all would have became millionaires even if they would have never gotten into politics.
No, I'm not saying that. To be clear, I'm very critical of the establishment Democrats. I don't agree with money being in politics overall. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and all those guys, I think they should have been out of office 10 years ago. They're way too old. They're stuck in their old ways. And we need new faces in there that's willing to actually take money out of politics and look into some of these investment avenues that these politicians take advantage of, because I think it's corruption.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that, like, with Donald Trump, he's using crypto. Now, is it illegal to use crypto to make money?
It's not technically illegal, but it's very how you would say it, immoral. He's taking advantage of the fact that he's the most powerful man in the world. He knows that there's no regulations around crypto, not as of yet, and not while he's in office, as far as I'm aware. And he's taking advantage of that. He's using this new way to get money that's outside of the stock market, that's outside of any federal regulations, and he's using that to take in money from foreign countries, such as Saudi Arabia and what's the name of that country he got the plane from? It skipped my mind.
I know what you're talking about, but I forgot the name too. But I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is it Saudi Arabia, or is that the wrong one?
It's the other one. I forgot the name of it. I'll have to look it up.
Okay, so then I have with that logic. Then, if Joe Biden were to come out and write a book and make money from that because he's using his position of power, or I believe Obama has written books, right? Michelle Obama too. Like, they've written books. Is that immoral then because they've used their position of power in order to sell a product?
No. Writing books is completely different from taking direct investments from foreign entities. That's why we have laws from taking, like, as of today, the president of the United States cannot take direct funds from a foreign country, and that's for a very clear reason. That was set by our founding fathers, right? But now we have a new type of currency that's not regulated and not foreseen by our founding fathers, and that's a loophole for the foreign countries to send money to our president, essentially, because I forgot the name of the token that was set up by World Liberty Financial, but that token had hit a peak. And now the Trump supporters that actually invested in that lost money. A lot of them lost money because it took a nosedive.
Okay.
Textbook rug pull.
What about when Donald Trump was doing the NFTs? Was that immoral? I mean, he wasn't president then, but he was using that in order to raise money.
As long as you're not the sitting representative of our federal government, if you're a private citizen at that point, then you can do whatever you like. Barack Obama could start a company tomorrow. I have no problem with that. He's not in the White House. He can't use levers within government to make sure that he's not investigated or there's no regulations put out there or anything like that.
Okay. So how about when, like, now I know Hunter Biden's not the president, but he was the son of the sitting president. When he was selling, did you hear when he was like selling those artworks and they were selling for like millions of dollars? It was like ridiculous. Would you say that's like immoral because he might not be president, but his father was president and he's using his father's name in order to make millions of dollars off of these paintings? Yeah,
true. And that is a little bit concerning. I will say that based on the information that I was seeing, some of the, audio calls and stuff like that, that was a bit concerning. But I will say that if you are critiquing that, then you should be paying very close attention to how much money Jared Kushner is getting out of these Middle East countries.
Yeah. So go into details with the
millions.
Okay. So go into details about the whole Saudi Arabia investing money into these cryptos, because I'm going to be honest, I really don't know too much detail. I know people are kind of upset about the whole crypto thing, but I don't know what the specifics are that I should be upset about. Like, why is it bad? Like, is Saudi Arabia just directly giving them money, or like what's going on here?
Well, if you invest in something, it's initially going to drive up the value of whatever coin that you put out there. Yeah, I think that's, basic common sense with that. So Donald Trump created a coin. He had already won the election at this point, right? This is like maybe a few days before he even got into the White House. Him and his son set up this company called World Liberty Financial, and they came up with this token. The interesting thing about that is 2 days before January 6th, or whenever he stepped into a White House, Saudi Arabia invested billions into that. Do you not find that concerning?
That they invested billions
into the new company that our president of the United States set up after he won the election.
So the Saudi Arabia government, they invested billions into this crypto coin.
Yes.
Okay. Did they, when the coin dipped, did they lose the money or what happened?
I don't think so. And this is Saudi Arabia. They throw away billions every day, but they will invest billions for influence.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of gonna happen with anything, and with any presidential.
I can establish the connection because every other president prior to him, even Republican politicians, were saying that Saudi Arabia should not be getting our AI chips, right? Why, as soon as Trump got into the White House, he opened up AI chips to Saudi Arabia? That sounds like a good payoff to me.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. That I have no idea about.
Yeah, I understand. But I mean, I actually dig into the weeds of all these situations, and that's why I'm so against Trump at this point.
Okay, but again, like I could point to instances of corruptions with previous like presidents and such, and your argument is like, so if by that logic, then let's just say I granted to you that was really corrupt of him to do. What makes him what does that make him even more special and stand out compared to previous presidents?
What makes Donald Trump stand out?
Yeah,
I would say the blatant disregard for any type of retribution, blatant disregard for any type of standards that was set before him, and the magnitude of the money that's being flowed into his pockets.
Yeah, but again, if I could show you, like, well, Biden, when he put Hunter Biden over there on the board in what was it, in Ukraine, or when he put him on the board over there, I mean, that's also a whole disregard, and he just wanted more money in his pockets.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm just saying that what makes Donald Trump so unique in there, you know, I'm pretty sure you could throw a rock and find corruption in our governments, you know.
Yeah, I understand that, but I just want consistency when we're talking about, like, if you're against corruption, you're against all corruption, regardless of political party. And what I'm saying is that yes, you can critique Hunter Biden, do that. All I'm saying is that, are you aware of how many boards Jared Kushner is currently on in the Middle East? Are you aware of how many billions of dollars Jared Kushner has received by Donald Trump sending him over there to make peace in the Middle East, which hasn't been done?
No, I'm not aware.
Yeah, he's received, as of today, 4.8 billion from Qatar, the UAE, and several other different firms. That is what, over 100 times of magnitude compared to Hunter Biden.
Okay, so is Jared Kushner then taking this money and giving it to Donald Trump?
I mean, it could be a possibility. I don't.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying, is
we don't know.
We don't necessarily know, but we do know that Donald Trump and his family, including his sons, Donald Trump Jr. and the other Trump, they're all gaining in wealth on a major scale. If you have a problem with Hunter Biden, you should also have a problem with this. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but the thing is that Donald Trump, his children, like, they learn from him on how to do business and such. So it's not really out of the realm of possibility that these are all legitimate business things and nothing shady going on, because I haven't really seen any proof there's actually anything illegal or shady going on. It's just kind of assumptions. So it's not really out of the realm of possibility they're earning this, you know, legitimately. With Hunter Biden, I mean, are his paintings really worth like millions of dollars? Did Hunter Biden deserve to be in the board over there? Like, did he earn those spots? Did he deserve that? Does he have any sort of business prowess
Yes,
or
and
anything?
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure if Joe Biden wasn't president, Hunter Biden probably wouldn't have been on that board. Now, can we agree that if Donald Trump wasn't president, Jared Kushner wouldn't have the presence in the Middle East that he currently has?
Yeah, probably not. Probably not.
And because of that presence, Jared Kushner has increased his net worth by billions of dollars. We have to recognize the difference between millions and billions. That is like a way larger magnet. Like that's completely life changing. $1 million nowadays, yeah, that's a lot of money. But $1 billion, that's a completely different level of wealth.
Yeah. What do you know what Jared Kushner's net wealth was before this happened? Like, do you have anything to compare that to so we could really like examine this?
I can actually look it up now.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know too much about Jared Kushner, but what I do know is that he was already also kind of a business savvy type of guy. So it's one of those other things where it's not out of the realm of possibility that he would have figured something out. I do agree, like going from millions to billions, that's a huge leap. But again, it's not as blatant as like the Hunter Biden, where it's like, what did he have going for him? Yeah, he didn't really have much.
But that's what I'm saying, is that there is not anything that's prosecutable that came out of that Hunter Biden situation. The whole laptop situation came out to be a whole farce. They ended up convicting him off of a technical fallacy. And they never really went after Joe, even when Trump was in office the first time. But I digress. Jared Kushner's net worth was 323 million.
320. Well, that's a lot, hundreds of millions.
But now he's around 4.8 billion.
That is a huge leap. I'll give you that. That's a huge leap. I guess what I'm looking for is that, like, even if it's a huge leap, do you still have the evidence that this was due to correct, like, something nefarious or illegal going on? And even if it were, how does this tie to, oh, is he giving this money to Donald Trump? How does it tie to Trump, other than he got this position because of Trump?
I could say that same thing about the Hunter Biden situation. What was illegal about it?
About the
Hunter Biden?
Well, if there's nothing technically illegal about it, they're like, there wasn't nearly technically illegal. It's just that with Hunter Biden, it's clear that he was kind of just being used as a pawn to get his father money. Where Jared Kushner, he's making this money. It's not like he was a bum and then he just became a billionaire. It seems like he had some kind of business savvy already. And yeah,
I would question the business savvy part, but what I'm saying is that there's no proof or verifiable proof that there was any especially large amount of money going to Joe Biden, just like there's no proof of Jared Kushner sending any money to Donald Trump. The issue is that we're seeing the sons of presidents take advantage of their connection to the White House. That was the whole issue with the Hunter Biden stuff, right? What I'm saying is that Jared Kushner is doing the same thing, but on a way larger scale.
Yeah, by the way, Hunter Biden, he got pardoned. So that's another reason why there wasn't really any punishments on his part. Joe Biden just gave him a blanket pardon. And also Hunter was being investigated, but Joe Biden admitted to calling up freaking the Ukraine and saying, hey, look, we're going to stop funding you guys if you don't fire this lawyer the person doing the investigations.
To be clear, that wasn't a Joe Biden. I mean, that wasn't Joe Biden himself. I think that was the ambassador to Ukraine that did that, that called and gave her, she, if I remember right, she said that she supported the politician that was running for the office at that point in time. She supported a particular politician, which is, I admit, not appropriate for a ambassador of another country to be giving political endorsements to a potential leader of another country. That's not appropriate, and that's not something that we should be doing. But I will bounce back and say there's plenty of things in this Trump administration that is clearly not appropriate in the same manner.
Well, it was Hunter Biden. He admitted it on tape that he gave the call personally and said, if you don't fire this person, then we're going to stop sending you money. So he directly influenced that.
I haven't seen that one, but I was very familiar with the Hunter Biden situation because I thought it was weird. And I do believe some of it is inappropriate, but the whole Hunter Biden laptop, nothing came out of that outside of weird nudes. And the fact that he was still on stuff while he was a gun owner or buying gun. Well, yeah.
And then wasn't there pictures of him and his niece, his underage niece on there too? Like some questionable pictures on there.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure about that one either. I just kept to the specifics around Hunter Biden and looking for any illegal activity. That's what most people should have done in that situation.
Yeah. Okay. But so the argument though is that like Trump is especially even the most corrupt. And again, it's like we could point back to corruptions with the previous president too. So I don't think I really got the answer of what makes Donald Trump so unique. Like, why is it, oh no, he's really bad, even worse than Joe Biden or Obama or Bush or Clinton?
Let's just put it this way. If just interesting hypothetical, if Joe Biden had received $10 million through corruption, opinionated corruption, not straight up illegal corruption, but he found ways to, kind of get around the legal actions and found loopholes, but most people would still consider it corruption, right? $10 million. Donald Trump getting hundreds of billions. Well, I don't think it's hundreds of billions. Let me correct that. I think since he's been in the White House this time, his net worth has grown over 2 billion, 4 billion. So yeah. I mean, that's way worse than $10 million, is it not?
Yeah, but again, it's like Donald Trump, we go back to the original point where Donald Trump probably would have gained these billions even if he wasn't president, if by starting up these little businesses, these products that he puts out there. That's how he became rich to begin with, from all his business savvy.
I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Most of these investments that's coming from foreign countries, and most of these dictators that's putting their hands into different things that Donald Trump is doing, such as Elon Musk pretty much having a whole Tesla commercial outside the White House, things like that. Yeah, I can't see the related, like Biden, even if there was that, this is in a whole different level. Like, we have to understand this. Like, what Donald Trump is doing is like completely different, and it's blatant. I don't know how else to put it.
Well, if it's so blatant, then like, how come nothing's being done about it if it's so blatant? Hold on. Before with the previous corruption, they always try to keep it under wraps, especially like Joe Biden said they didn't want that out there. That's why they would always try to censor all the information that was out there in social media. But if this is so blatant, we know about the crypto company, we know about, Elon Musk. If we know about this, then how is it not being investigated, especially when Donald Trump's been investigated before? He's been already convicted, 34 count felonies. So, I mean, like, if it's so blatant, how come he's not getting investigated and he's in trouble right now?
He controls the DOJ. He pretty much has. Do you think the current AG is going to try and convict this sitting? The current AG, I remind you, is Trump's own former lawyer. So,
Yeah, but
like, come on
Trump
now.
Trump has people that turn on him all the time. Like Trump has like appointed people that ended up ruling against him. Like honestly, it's like I don't even know who really has Trump's back anymore. And so like to me, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter. Like when you have people who like when you have the reputation or at least the very if you're a polarizing figure like Trump, that's what I should say. Someone that's polarizing and you have people that feel so strongly about this guy, it's and again with the corruption, like how do you know even if they do have Trump's back that they could get corrupted and then turn on Trump? Like in my opinion, I don't really think that matters. Like people
Well,
really don't like Trump.
the way things are set up is that if anybody turns on Trump, Trump pretty much destroys your whole career. That's what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's what happened to the other guy, from Arkansas, I think, Thomas Massey. They are no longer Republicans, and that's for clear. I think even Mitt Romney, the former presidential nominee, is no longer like a actual Republican. Mike Pence doesn't support Trump. Yeah, I'm surprised he's still in office, but this is what happens when you go up against Trump, is that he does everything he can to destroy your entire life. Who's to say that he doesn't replace that AG that turned on him and start charging him, finding things to charge him with?
Yeah, all those examples you brought up, though, like I would say those are a lot of them were self-inflicted. Like all those people turned again, the turning on Trump. All those people turned on Trump first. Trump doesn't just point out someone and just goes after them. Usually he attacks back. And even then, what has he really done to MTG other than talk badly about her? Like I haven't seen him go after her. Like he hasn't tried to
he's called
prosecute
her a traitor,
Yeah.
which is improper for the president of the United States to impose. We know what the penalty for, betraying the country, becoming a traitor. We know what the penalty is for that in this country. And for the most powerful man in this country to accuse that of his former ally just because she stepped in the wrong way on the e-files, I don't know how anybody can get behind that. I mean, this is whether you like it or not, Marjorie Taylor Greene was a MAGA firebrand. She was 100% behind Trump his whole first term, and this second term, she was a major point in helping him get elected, especially in Georgia. For this man to accuse her of being a traitor just because she voted for something that he didn't want to pass, to release the e-files. Let's be clear. That's when this stuff happened, when Marjorie Taylor Greene voted to release the e-files, and he called him he called her a traitor for that.
Yeah, but again, so all he did in return was just call her a traitor. So again, he just called her something. Doesn't mean that people have to listen to it. People could just be like, yeah, whatever, Donald Trump called her a traitor, and which happens all the time. Donald Trump says something, people flip out or they spin it. So again, I don't see how him calling her something or labeling her something is going to really stop her from doing anything. Is that going to stop her from running for a position in office or anything? Like
no, but she has gotten threats to her life. Her kids have been threatened, and also all these things, and she doesn't have the Secret Service to protect her. She has to come out of pocket and just to be clear, I'm not a Marjorie Taylor Greene fan, but yeah, I do believe in with great power comes great responsibility, to quote Spider-Man. The president has a responsibility to be aware of what his words can do.
Okay. Yeah, well, we could get into that. What about when Joe Biden, during the red background speech, when he was saying, calling MAGA Republicans extremists? Well, what about, you don't think he had a responsibility to not say that about MAGA Republicans, calling us extremists? Yeah, he called us extremists.
Is there a federal penalty for extremists?
Is there a federal? What do you mean? Is there a federal penalty for extremists?
A traitor, there's a penalty in this country for traitors. There's no penalty.
Has she been penalized in any way for being called a traitor? Has she
No,
been?
but I think a lot of Americans are aware of that penalty, and I think they are aware of what this country has historically done to traitors.
What about calling groups of people extremists, though? Like pretty much I got called an extremist for what? Supporting Trump? Like you don't. How do you think that's going to make people like on the left react that we're labeled extremists? We've already gotten attacked. Like people, the left are unhinged.
Well, yeah, you're right. I think,
and the president's calling us extremists. Like I don't know. I think that's messed up.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I would have to look at the exact quote just to clarify on what we're talking about. But even then, if Biden had called you guys terrorists, I would be right there with you. That's inappropriate, especially because it's a simple disagreement. My point in saying this is that Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of the most vocal allies that Trump ever had. And because she voted against him on this one thing, because she's continuing to support other legislation supported by Trump. But one thing that Trump really didn't want to get out, and now he calls her a traitor.
Yeah, that's usually what happens. I remember he criticized, what is her name? Kayleigh McEnany. She said one thing wrong one time and he like criticized her and went off for it on her. That's usually what he does. Donald Trump, as soon as you say something that's like one thing negative about him, then he'll say something negative about you. He's very like retaliatory in that way. Now you could agree or disagree with it all you want. I just don't see how that's so harmful if we already knows that's how he is. Again, like with Marjorie Taylor Greene, has she been arrested? Has she been prosecuted for anything? Like nothing has happened other than her being labeled a traitor. And but if you think that's bad, then again, you're going to have to also look at Joe Biden calling us mega extremists, or the other Democrat politicians calling us, Nazis and fascists and all these things.
Yeah, I would have to look up that specific quote. I don't think that was exactly what was said, if I'm remembering correctly, because I always watch like different rallies and different statements from different presidents, going back to George Bush, actually.
Yeah, here I got it right here. I could pull it up. Let me figure this out real quick.
Oh yeah, he referred to MAGA as a extremist force. Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic. That was September 1st, 2022. Mm-hmm. That was in reference to January 6th. Yeah.
I don't remember if it was in reference to January 6th, but even if it were calling all of us extremists, was all Trump supporters there at the Capitol that day?
I wouldn't call all of the supporters at the Capitol extremists, but I will say that a lot of those people were led there by extremists.
Yeah, it's like with the logic though, is like with Trump, you're like, well, he shouldn't, he as a leader of the president, he should be careful what he says. Well, what do you think about Joe Biden? Because I always hear Trump has to be careful with what he says, but it's like, well, here's Joe Biden calling mega extremists and such that we're a danger to this country. Like, I don't know. There's no responsibility on Joe Biden to watch what he says. How come it's always all on Trump to watch what he says, but never on, what about Obama when he was addressing the Trayvon Martin incident? And he said, we have like a huge racism problem pretty much in this country with like, I have to relook it up, but I remember he implied that we have a racist cop. And like, do you think he should watch what he says when it comes to that?
No, he was speaking to a factual statistic. As far as drugs, I don't know if I can say that on here, but as far as that type of usage, Black people are arrested at a way higher rate than white people, even though the usage rates are the same.
And that's all.
That's just a fact.
And is that what Obama was addressing, or was he addressing the Trayvon Martin incident and using that to kind of, because you don't think labeling like cops as racist? I mean, there were innocent cops that weren't doing anything that literally got killed. So you don't think that's reckless rhetoric by Obama's part? You don't think he should have cooled the temperature a little bit, and as the president, maybe not say things like that?
I think if you listen to the entire speech, he did cool the temperature. Now, he did address the overall racist trends of our policing in this country and the historical trends of the policing in this country, which is tinged towards African Americans being arrested at higher rates overall. But I think, if I remember right, because I was very young during those Trayvon Martin days, that was a very long speech, and I think he did call for unity within this country.
After he called that, said there was a huge racism problem.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like essentially what he was saying was just, yeah, listen, there's a lot of racist cops. We have a big racism problem. So can we not be racist and call for unity? Like, that's essentially what he was saying, you know?
I had to turn my camera off real quick.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I just don't think he was calling all cops racist. I think he was just addressing some of the trends that we've seen out of these statistics from our country overall. So yeah, I think he was addressing the policing and not the police themselves. Let's put it that way. I don't think I mean, at that point, Obama was overseeing the executive branch. So he's like technically a DA is the top cop, the AG, I mean. But yeah, he oversees all that. So I don't think he was just specifically calling every cop in America racist. I think he was just speaking to the trends that a lot of Black people protesting against at that time.
Okay. This is just an opinion, like a question I just have. Do you think Irina Zarutska was murdered due to racism? Do you think the African American that murdered her, do you think that was due to racism?
No, that's due to mental health issues.
But how do you know it wasn't due to racism? He like said afterward, oh, I got that white girl.
Mental health. He has documented mental health schizophrenia issues, right?
Well, why did he bring up her race though?
To identify somebody. I mean, if I committed some type of crime, they're gonna say a Black guy about 5'5" with black on. If I see you and you hit my car and run off, I'm gonna say it's a white looking guy. I know you might not be white. You seem a little mixed, but
yeah.
You know, I'm not. That's just a way to identify different individuals, and everybody does it. Just because we say that's a white girl, that's a Black guy, that's a doesn't necessarily mean any type of racial intent.
Okay. Well, what about Derek Chauvin and George Floyd though? Was that due to race? Was that due to racism? Was he being racist toward George Floyd?
Racist towards, I think he was being, let me word this carefully. I think he was being very, how you would say it. I don't know the exact wording, but I think he was being very unattentive when it comes to him because of his demographic. Let's put it that way. He did not provide the care that he should have provided. He did not go through the processes that he should have done because of his demographic and how he came off. He thought yeah.
So just so we're clear, you don't think he should have, you don't think he took care of, like, he didn't handle George Floyd well as he should have because of George Floyd's race?
Yes. because once you're
Okay.
put in handcuffs, you become custody of the government. So whatever happens to you at that point, once you're in handcuffs, is on the government. Well, not the government, but it's still the government, but it's the local government there, the police force. Yeah.
Okay, well, but how do you know that? Like, how do you know there was racial motivations there?
Mostly, I would have to go back to the court documentation if I believe. I think there was previous comments made by that officer, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think he was charged with a hate crime, was he?
I don't believe he was.
Okay.
The reason why I'm asking this is because when it's a white guy doing it to a black guy, you immediately like, oh, it has to be due to racism. But when I brought up the scenario of Irina Zarutska, you're like, no racism. It's mental health. Even though he said, I got that white bitch, you're like, no, it's mental health. And so that's why I'm asking, how do you know there's racial motivations there? You have Derek Chauvin didn't mention anything about George Floyd's race in anywhere in that scenario. Meanwhile, this other one, her race was mentioned. So how do you know inside the mind of these people that one was racially motivated and the other one was not? Definitely was not racially motivated.
Well, I guess that's something that can't really be proven verifiably.
Mm-hmm.
I can just go based on the information that's available to me to the public. And what I know is that guy that was I think that was a subway or a bus.
Yeah, it was a subway, I believe.
He had other instances where he was violent, and it was seen. That's how they found out he had schizophrenia. And I agree, he shouldn't have been out in public. He should have gotten the help that he needed at that point in time, or been in a facility where he wouldn't been able to harm people. All I'm saying
why do you think he was let out? Like, why do you think he was let out and allowed to be in the public?
Mostly because of overcrowding in jails.
Do you really think that's what it is? Do you really think it's the overcrowding?
Well, I live in a state where a lot of people get locked up for frivolous reasons, and that's why a lot of people get early release or gets commuted sentences, and that's because the prisons are overpacked.
I mean, yeah, but how come it seems to be a certain demographic that are being let out to the public? I don't see a lot of crazy schizophrenic white guys or any other race that are out there. It seems to be like it seems to be an African American demographic.
When white people do things and they claim crazy mindset, they tend eliminations, if you get what I'm saying. Like that young man that shot up that church. The
black that shot up the black church.
Yeah. I think he tried to
so you cut out real quick, so I didn't hear the last thing you said.
I'm sorry. I think he even tried to claim mental health issues, but that was a lot of people in one instance. That's what I'm saying. Every time a white person decides to get crazy and do things like that, a lot of people tend to go away.
So you don't think he did what he did due to mental health reasons? You think he did what he did because he was racist?
He wrote a manifesto.
Okay, but in the Irina Zarutska one, he said, "I got that white bitch."
He didn't write a manifesto. That
but
wasn't.
He brought up her race though. Why would that be important?
Do you think that was premeditated?
I don't think it was premeditated. He barely just met that woman. That's what made it so horrible.
And isn't that a typical sign of schizophrenia?
I'm not. It could be it could be
just random bouts of aggression based
it
on
could be
random things that might pop up in your head.
Yeah, but how come you can't use mental health with a mass shooting? Like, even if he wrote a manifesto, how do you know he wasn't in a dark place, a mentally ill place, and he went and he did what he did?
Well,
I mean,
being in
it's
a
you have to be in a
so,
pretty dark place to do that, right?
yeah, but being in a dark place is completely different from schizophrenia. Just because I'm depressed, I can't just go out there and do things like he did. Nah. Schizophrenia is a whole different type of level. It's to the point where your reality is different from most people's.
Can you be a racist schizophrenic?
I guess.
Okay, what is it possible that maybe he was both? He was schizophrenic and maybe racist toward white people?
That's a possibility, but that'll be very hard to prove.
Yeah, that's my point. Exactly. It's very hard to prove. And so what I'm trying to say is that it seems like whenever there's a white on black, you automatically know, oh, this is due to racism. But when it's black on white, it's like, well, I don't know,
Well,
mental health.
uh,
He had a tough childhood. He was poor. You know what I
uh,
mean? There's
yeah.
all these excuses.
Well, let me be clear. When I say that Derek Chauvin George Floyd situation was not, let me put it this way. It was what the trends show overall in this country when it comes to police aggression towards Black people, or when Black people are in the custody of police officers, they're tended to be treated a little bit differently. And that's stats, that's factual numbers behind it. The FBI looked into this. And what I'm saying is that just is a part of that trend, is from in my opinion. And it's just bad training. He wasn't trained to put a knee on the neck, from what the court records say. He wasn't trained to do that. So what made him do that?
Well, it was in. I believe in terms of that precinct. I believe that is part of the procedure in that precinct. I know it's not like nationwide, but in that precinct, he was taught to do that. It was procedure. That wasn't the first time anyone there has used that technique before. It has been used before. I looked it up. And by the way, didn't result in deadly force before. I think at worst one person was injured due to it, but out of all the times that technique was used, it was never resulted in death, which means that George Floyd, the fact that he was on fentanyl, contributed highly to the fact that he died because of that, because he was already having trouble breathing when they tried to originally put him in the cop car.
What did the coroner say about his cause? Well, his COD.
I believe the coroner did say that it was due to the knee on the back.
Okay. And that's what I'm going with. Because that was an independent coroner. That's actually been supported by the law enforcement in that area.
Yeah, but again, how is it then that what made George Floyd so different that, again, there's never been any deaths due to that technique, and yet when it happened to George Floyd, he ended up dying?
Let's see here. I had to look the knee on neck policy up, and it says by most police agencies, it's considered deadly force.
Did you look up the stats of how many people have died from it?
Yeah, let me look that up. But yeah, let's see here. It's taking a second.
Yeah, no worries.
According to the Associated Press investigation, which review autopsies, police reports, and court records over a 10-year period, 1,036 total, over a decade. More than 1,000 people died in the U.S. after police subdued them using physical force that is not supposed to be fatal. Prone restraints. So 740 out of that 1,036 was the prone restraints that was seen in the George Floyd situation.
So specifically the knee
Yeah.
on the back.
Yeah.
And that was
prone,
over.
Yeah, prone restraints, pinning a person face down with body weight, knees on back.
Well, now that could mean anything. Like, so what if a cop is on top of you full and with both knees on top of your back? Like, isn't really proof that it was that specific technique. And also, this was over a decade. So, do you have a compare to how many people did you say that it was used on in total, like totality? Do you know?
I don't know how many people it was used on, but it does say 740 deaths. So it doesn't have injuries, does it? No, it doesn't have specific injuries, but it does say that this restraint is known to cause hypoxic brain injuries, cervical spine trauma, and neck trauma. So yeah.
Okay. Does it factor in if any of them are also on any type of drugs or anything?
Nah, I haven't added that in, but I mean, the statistics are here: 740 involving prone restraints. I don't know if they were on any of that stuff or not, but
yeah, because if, like I said in the video, if you see, they originally tried to put him in the back of the cop car. He was already complaining of not being able to breathe when no one was restraining him at all. He was just in the back of the car and he was already having trouble breathing, because when you're on fentanyl, what it does, that's what it does. It slows down everything. Like,
yes,
and it slows down everything. So hold on. I agree with you that where they failed was getting him proper care, like in terms of getting him Narcan or something. That probably would have saved his life. So I agree with you that where they went wrong is they didn't get him the proper care. But in terms of the knee in the back is what's being done. I don't. It wasn't just the knee in the back or racism or anything.
Well, I would say specifically for George Floyd, it was knee on neck. And if I'm a police officer and I understand my job and what my job entails, the moment I put handcuffs on this person is in my custody. So whatever happens to this person is my responsibility. If this person is telling me he can't breathe, the last thing I'm going to do is put my knee on his neck. Just common sense wise. You know?
Yeah, but but sometimes the perpetrator, they could say that and then get away. Like I've seen it happen before where they said, "Oh, I can't breathe," or "Oh, the handcuffs are too tight, loosen them." And then they use that to get off. A lot of people say they can't breathe. So I'm just saying, like, as an officer, it's kind of understandable that when you've heard that hundreds of times already, that you kind of tend to I guess not take it as seriously. But exactly. I've also said they did try to accommodate. Like, they did take him out of the cop car. They did, but I agree they didn't do a good enough job.
Yeah, they could have. He was in handcuffs at this point. They could have just sat him down on the corner. He wasn't going anywhere.
Well, again, like, he could still run,
but he's not going to get far with handcuffs.
People could get good. I've seen crazy runaway videos. You'd be surprised. Do people, if they don't want to go to jail, they'll do anything. You know.
I don't believe. I mean, there's always better ways to handle a situation. I'm not going to critique somebody for, doing something I wouldn't do specifically, but if what you do leads to a person losing their life, then you should be paying the consequences. Now, as far as the protest that came after, that was pretty much because that was the first time, I think, in internet history that we seen somebody expire, video-wise, just overall. just massively on the internet in front of millions of eyes. So that was very emotional for a lot of people. So I think you should understand that a lot of people were not only angry, but looking for direct answers that wasn't really provided at that point in time.
Yeah, I could understand that people could see that and be disturbed by it or be upset about it and even want answers. I just don't think that's legitimate reasons to burn down buildings, businesses, assault people. Cops were murdered during those riots.
Yeah.
I just don't agree with that. I don't think that was right at all, and I don't think that was the correct response.
Yeah, I don't think it was the
Um,
correct response. I'm completely against violence, especially when it comes to protests. Especially when it comes to any type of political action. I am very much against any type of violence, or any type of destruction. But I will say that we all know that the police doesn't really have a good history with African American culture when it comes to this country. So when we see something like that, there's going to be a bunch of assumptions being made, such as, the same situation around the whole Charlie Kirk thing. I think the whole internet thought the old guy did it at first. That random old man that was, I hate, but yeah, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, there's a
yeah.
bunch of confusion. A lot of people on the internet making assumptions, running with it, content creators trying to take advantage, things like that. And I think more people got to be aware of that on both sides.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think the violence and stuff wasn't good with the protests around George Floyd. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it was good at all. And the whole thing about the history and stuff, I think a lot of that gets because you want to talk about how people take advantage of the situation. I think there are politicians that definitely take advantage of that, and the media, they push a narrative out there. Oh, look, racist white cop killed another black man. And I think that's going to get people riled up too. And it's actually going to inspire that, especially when you have people like Kamala Harris that were saying, yes, here's the bail fund to bail out these protesters. Here you go. And then when they're calling it like the summer of love, and they're saying, yes, they're justified to be angry, pretty much excusing this behavior. I think that's definitely going to contribute to it. And maybe even rile people up, because every situation where a black person gets shot by a cop, it doesn't even matter. Like, the black person could be fully at fault. It's on video. And as long as it was done by a white cop or something, they'll be like, oh, see, this is racism.
Well, okay. I will give you that Kamala did. I think she posted a link to help some of those people get bailed out. Do you agree with the pardoning of January 6ers that Donald Trump did?
I don't agree with all of them, but the ones that were there that weren't violent, that really didn't do anything, that were at most just guilty of just walking through the Capitol, I think it's reasonable to give them pardons. The ones who were violent, I'm a little bit more like, I don't know about them. But the ones that were nonviolent, I agree with those pardons.
So do you think he was excusing some of the violent behavior by because at least the people that was bailed out, they still had to go to court. They still had to hold those charges. They were not pardoned. The people that Donald Trump pardoned, they don't have any charges anymore. And I think about 20 to 30% of them have been arrested since they got that pardon.
Yeah.
So they're not exactly good people.
Yeah.
Do you think Donald Trump excused their behavior by those pardons?
Well, I don't know what his mindset was when he did that. I don't know if he just did a blanket just to make it easier, or maybe I have no idea. I will say I don't agree with it. Those people that got rearrested, hey, fair enough. You get what's coming to you. I don't feel bad for those people. If they got pardoned and then they got arrested for other crimes, I ain't gonna defend them.
But that's what you guys accuse Democrats of doing all the time, releasing criminals back on the streets.
Because they do. They do release criminals back on the streets.
But that's the first thing Donald Trump did when he got back in the White House, was blanket release for even some of the most violent criminals that day.
Well, you said the most violent criminals. I don't know. These weren't repeated. Like out of the ones that were violent that got arrested for January 6th, what what were their charges before that? Did they have histories of doing this or what?
I think one particular person that I remember looking up, I can't remember his name, but I know he had some previous charges locally within his state. Like I think it was assault on his wife or some, some other stuff like that, just state level assault stuff. But this is I'm just saying, like, even if they didn't have anything and they used that moment to finally rip loose and do some crazy stuff, they shouldn't be pardoned. I mean, if you feel like that conviction was wrong, we have an appeals process. Donald Trump is the head of the DOJ. All he had to do was have them people prove that they are actually innocent and didn't deserve the time that they got. But instead of that, he used the shortcut of just pardoning everybody.
Yeah, so you wanted Donald Trump to go and look at each individual case, take time to go look at each individual case, and then judge and determine that, and then go give the pardons individually, or
if you're interested in the rule of law, like this president campaigned on, then yeah, Donald Trump. He's the president of the United States, the head of the military. You should not shy away from hard work.
Well, I mean, he has a lot of hard work on his plate, but that's why I disagree with that.
No more than
but regardless, though, regardless, again, if you want to talk about pardons, like, okay, Joe Biden just gave blanket pardons to his son that covered like a span of years, like anything that happened between this state and this state, you can't be investigated or convicted of it. Same thing with Fauci. He gave a blanket pardon to Fauci. So again, if you want to talk about pardons, we could go into that. All presidents give these pardons, but that doesn't take away the fact that Democrats do disrespect the rule of law, and it's because of this like viewpoint. Like it's like a consistent thing. These judges, like they release these repeated criminals back onto the streets, and it's like it seems to be a trend where it seems to be a certain demographic they're doing this for. And in my personal opinion, it's basically because of these this viewpoint, this woke Marxist type of viewpoint, where it's like, oh, the poor African Americans, they grew up poor and they didn't have a chance and they had tough lives, and so they give them second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 7 chances, and then they end up like eventually killing somebody. And so and then don't forget about illegals, how they want just illegals to be in here too. They're definitely like for the criminals. They're not for like honest people.
To be clear, you know that illegals are still coming in this country. Yes, there are more people that's leaving than that's coming in. I will give you that. That's where you get that net zero number from. But do you know that illegals are still coming in through green cards? Most of the illegal immigrants that come into this country are green card overstays. That's still happening. In fact, since Trump got into office, it's increased.
It's increased?
Yes, look.
I like to see. All right. So what's the claim? Green card
overstays has increased. If they overstay, they are in fact illegals. I'm just talking to the guy in your comments. Well, right. I'm sorry. Visa overstays. I'm sorry. I got those mixed up. Visa
overstays. All right. Let me. All right. Overstays increased under Trump's.
Or is it green card?
All right, it's looking it up real quick. It's freaking lagging for some reason. While that's loading,
Well,
okay,
your
we could wait.
your YouTube comment section is going in on me, so I just want to correct some of them real quick. Even before Trump got into office, over half of illegal immigrants in this country got here through those overstays. So when Donald Trump comes up with all of these big numbers for illegal immigrants in this country, about half of those use that route. So you can't say that they're not illegals when Donald Trump considers them illegals. But I digress.
Okay. So it comes up, it says no comprehensive public data shows a clear increase in visa overstays under Trump's second presidency as of July 2026. In fact, available evidence and policy actions point to efforts that likely reduce them. Though full FY 2025, FY 2026 statistics are not released. And this is from the source they pulled up is the DHS.gov.
Hold on. Give me 1 second. Because I know I just pulled this up not too long ago, earlier this morning, I think. All new, roughly 65 to 70%, 2/3 of all new undocumented immigrants in the United States are now visa overstays, completely bypassing the southern border. Let's see.
And where was that from?
Let's see. That is hold on. I just typed in something else here. I gotta go back. Yeah. This is from the Department of Justice. So the source is the Department of Justice. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to bring this back out. I messed up my stream for a second. 2025. Internet is acting up right now. Okay. Okay, it says Department of Homeland Security, latest available data indicates 480,000 to 500,000 plus suspected in the country, overstays annually. In August 2025, DHS moved to try and find and end long-standing duration of status. But it doesn't say anything about. I know I just looked this number up. It's somewhere in this document. But yeah, I'll just trying to control F and find what I was finding earlier. I can't find it. Yeah, I did see something in this DOJ website about visa overstays going up.
I mean, can we at least agree that, compared to the last few presidencies, that this is the best that, like, under control that legal immigration has been?
What do you mean by under control?
I mean, like the numbers,
completely closing the border.
Yeah, like closing the border. At least like even compared to Biden, there's not 10 million people just coming over here or overstaying or anything. Can we agree? Let's just keep it simple. Let's compare it to Biden. Can we agree that compared to Biden, he's done a lot better job at getting the border under control?
If that's your one and only goal, then yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm happy with that.
I think he put band-aid attempts that can easily be reversed by any other president, because what he did was use executive orders. He did not pass any type of legislation to actually bolster the border. Before he actually took the White House, I think in the Biden administration, there was a Republican-supported bill to fund those actual officers, the Border Patrol, down there, to fund immigration judges and lawyers and make sure that this process is completely funded so we can handle all of these people attempting to come into our country. Donald Trump shot that bill down, and he wasn't even president at the time.
Yeah, well, wasn't it full of fat though? Like the Democrats were adding in all these extra things, and the Border Patrol, all the funding, like all the things in that bill that would have gone to actually fixing the border wouldn't have really done a lot. Like they would have, what was it, like after so many people crossed, then they would have stopped people. I forgot what the number was, but it was like, oh yeah, we'd only allow this much crossings, like 1,000. I forgot what it was. Like it wouldn't have really done, like it wouldn't have been as effective as what Donald Trump is doing now. And that's why that border bill got shut down. It wasn't, it was because it was full of fat and it wasn't going to do what it was designed to do.
But what Donald Trump did is essentially a band-aid. I mean, it doesn't provide any actual congressional funding to the Border Patrol. It doesn't actually provide any additional funding to the justice system that needs it, because there's a very egregious shortage of immigration judges at the border. That's why a lot of these situations were completely messed up, because there were no immigration judges to handle all of these cases, and it was backed up. And Biden had the policy of giving them a court date and letting them go. So yeah, I think that bill would have went a long way in setting in stone some funding for those individuals that secure our border. Now, what Donald Trump did was an executive order, but I think it's essentially a band-aid.
Well, yeah, I mean, he has to resort to a lot of executive orders because, as I've said earlier, a lot of people in the Congress, they don't want to work with them. They don't want to pass anything. They even voted down the SAVE Act. Like they voted that down.
That you give this man, Republicans and MAGA gives this man so many. Do you realize when Obama hadn't even got the seat warm in the White House yet, and Mitch McConnell and Republicans in Congress said that this is their number one goal, is to make sure that this president fails. That's what he said. You can look this statement up. Mitch McConnell, the day Obama walked into that White House, they said that their number one goal is to make sure that this president fails. But he had a very, he had a Congress that was against him too, but he was still able to pass legislation. He was still able to take care of at least a few of the things that he wanted to get done. Donald Trump hasn't done that. He can't even get the SAVE Act passed. Well, and that's a whole other thing. There was a bipartisan housing bill to build more houses to make sure that people had access to actual housing that had the money to get it. And I think everybody here knows that America needs more housing. Donald Trump vetoed that bill because he wants to save that pass.
Well, he was trying to use that as a negotiation tactic because, again, they don't want to work with him. So he has to be like, yeah, if you don't pass the SAVE Act, I ain't going to pass this.
It's bipartisan. His party, the House Speaker from Louisiana, I forget his name, Mike or whatever his name is, they passed that bill. Donald Trump, there was no negotiating. That's what I'm saying. If Donald Trump wanted to negotiate something, he would have called them before they passed the bill. You know?
Wait, he would have. Okay, so wait a minute. He would have. I'm sorry. I'm kind of lost on your point. So you're saying that if he wanted to pass the
SAVE Act first, yeah.
Okay, so the SAVE Act, all he had to do. Are you talking about that he vetoed the SAVE Act or he vetoed the House Act?
He vetoed the housing bill that was bipartisan, passed by both Republicans and Democrats, because they understand that this is a very good thing for Americans in general.
And they don't think the SAVE Act would have been good? You don't think we need voter ID?
It's asinine.
Why is it asinine? Don't you think that's important?
Look up how many states in this country currently has voter ID.
Yeah, you know what state doesn't have voter ID? My state, California. And you know why? There's a lot of illegals here because this is a sanctuary state for illegals.
How many illegals out there voted in federal elections?
I don't know. No one knows. That's why it's important to have the voter ID law, right? I'm going to put it to you like this. Did you know here in there's a city, Huntington Beach here in California. They had a vote that they wanted voter ID in their local elections, right? They passed it. The democracy won. Did you know California sued the city for that?
Okay.
I'm just saying that, like, why don't they want voter ID if it seems like that's something like the people want? Like, why are they so against voter ID?
Hold on. What's the registration process in California to register to vote?
You literally just fill out your like when you're getting a driver's license, you just go like you fill out your information, and then it's like, oh, do you want to vote? Then it's like yes, and then you bring proof of like I forgot what the proof was, but it's not a birth certificate. It's not a birth certificate.
What is it though?
I'm drawing a blank. If you want to look it up, we can, but I'm drawing a blank on what it is. But it's not a birth certificate.
But okay. I mean, we can dig into it. I have time, but all I'm saying is that majority of the states in this country already have some type of ID verification for their voting processes within their states. What Donald Trump is trying to do is make it to where you can't vote unless you have a birth certificate matching the name that's on the voter rolls, which pretty much kicks out most married women, or a passport.
It wouldn't the married women thing, it wouldn't do that. I think they would have a process to where you show like your name change or something. Like it wouldn't just kick out married women. It wouldn't do that.
No,
it wouldn't alienate that.
No, it would give a reason to contest that person being on the voter rolls.
I'm sure they would figure something out with that. And if that's the case, I think that's something that they could work out that would be worth it instead of just not having some kind of verification that you were born here.
You understand the foundation that this country was founded on, right? You understand that this country
that anybody could vote in our elections.
No,
anybody could vote in our elections.
Not necessarily. Let me get to my point. Each state has its own rights, and this is a federalized government, comprised of multiple states, right?
But this is for national elections, though.
National elections, true, but how did the founding fathers want that process to go? Did they put that in the hands of the federal government or the states?
The voting process?
All voting processes.
Originally, what they wanted, I know they didn't want a pure democracy. That's why we don't have just a pure popular vote. That's why we have an electoral vote, because they knew how bad democracy was.
Yeah, of course.
And
But
so, in terms of who they gave the power to first, I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know. What I do know is I don't think they wanted people from other countries being able to just vote in our elections.
they also didn't want federal control of our elections because they know the slippery slope that would entail. All it needs is one tyrant to completely control elections for the rest of eternity. That's why
I
they
think
did. That's why they didn't hand control to the overall federal government of its own elections.
I don't think it's tyranny if the federal government made it mandatory for national elections, a federal election, to have a voter ID in order to protect the integrity of our elections. I don't
Do
think
you
they would have any problem with that.
do you think that's all that's in the SAVE Act? Just for clarification, do you know that that's only one part of the overall SAVE Act, right? You
All
understand
right.
that voter data will also have to be shared with the federal government, and based on that data, the federal government can make recommendations on who should be removed from the voter rolls. That's a next level form of control. And if a Democrat gets into the White House next time, do you want that Democrat deciding on who stays on the voter rolls?
If the Democrat came in and was like, let's get illegals off of the voter rolls, I would be fine with that.
No, I mean, if the SAVE Act passed today and Donald Trump was able to remove whoever he wanted to off the voter rolls, illegals, whatever, next election, a Democrat gets in. They have control over the voting system now. That's what I'm saying. This is a very slippery slope that we're messing with when we're talking about federal control over elections. And you know, you don't want to give too much control, especially to the executive branch. That's what our founding fathers wanted.
I just don't see this as giving into tyranny or anything like that. This is actually about protecting the integrity of our elections. That's like saying, oh, you don't want to give too much control to the bar, being able to see your ID, your address, and your age. You don't want to give them that much control. Therefore, we should just let anyone into the bar. And if they just tell you that they're 21, you just believe them and don't discriminate. Like, it's like, you realize is that, like, that's not tyranny. That's actually trying to protect, like, our country.
Yeah, I understand that, but we have
against
to
foreign influence.
Yeah, but we have to understand the difference between a private business and the United States government. It's specifically the difference between states and the federal government, the state governments and the federal governments. The founding fathers made very clear that they wanted the elections ran and set up through the states for this very reason. Because if a tyrant is in control of his very own elections, who can stop him? The DOJ that he's also in control of?
I just think this framing is just, again, I don't think the founding fathers would have any problem with wanting to protect the integrity of our elections.
That's what they considered. That's why they set it up that way.
Set it up so where we can't ask for verification that we were born here and that we're citizens here.
No, it's not that you can't ask. That's why we currently have voter ID laws in most states in this country.
But it should be all states. I want voter ID laws here in California. You know, again, we're a sanctuary state for illegals here. You know, so especially in those cases, I definitely want voter ID here.
I think in Cali, you do have to provide some type of ID to register to vote.
Well, no, because so, like, listen, if you're applying for, like, let's say a driver's license where let's say you're 16, 17-year-old kid and you're applying for a driver's license. I mean, you don't have to provide ID because you don't have ID. You're like a kid. So you provide other methods, none of which, by the way, is a birth certificate unless you're applying for a real ID. That's the only time they ask for a birth certificate.
Okay, I'm looking at it here. It says that you can register multiple ways through California, right? And it says that online registration, you will need a California's driver's license or a identification card number, the last 4 digits of your social security number, and your date of birth. If you want to register by mail, you can pick up the paper voter registration application, and You must mail it in and provide the driver's license identification card number or social security number listed on the form. If it doesn't match up with already listed information in the database, it will be refused. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So, social security numbers. Okay, so can someone be given like a fraudulent social security number, or purchase a stolen one or something? Like there's ways to give fraudulent social security numbers, especially if you're here illegally.
Yes.
So that's not a very good way to verify that you're actually from here. Like I said, the only way is if you're going for a real ID.
I would agree
with
you.
for real ID.
I would agree with you, but that's not the only way. Like you can't register solely with just a social security number. You have to register with either a driver's license, identification card number, and a social security number and your date of birth.
Yeah, but to get those IDs in the first place, you don't need a birth certificate unless it's a real ID.
Okay, but if voter ID, if the Save Act passed, how does someone without a birth certificate get to vote?
They don't. They get shit back. Bye, pal. You can't vote in our elections.
You realize there are naturalized citizens in this country, right? Without birth certificates.
So naturalized citizens, I believe naturalized citizens aren't allowed to vote.
They're not in federal elections for senator, congressman.
We could look that up but I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to vote. But I could be wrong.
I could be wrong for a second, but I'm pretty sure they are. Sorry. Oh shoot! Hold on.
I could look it up as well.
Yeah. Got some. I messed up my whole stream over here.
Yeah, no worries. I'm looking it up too. Okay, so I looked it up. Yes, they are allowed to vote in federal elections. So, okay, so they could. Let's see. Citizen requires voters to be U.S. citizens actually fully meet this once they complete the national blah blah blah. Or not automatically. You must register separately. Many new citizens will register on the spot. Okay. Process for new naturalized citizens. So, I'm pretty sure they would in that case. There would be just like the married women thing. I'm sure there would be a way for a naturalized citizens to prove that they're a naturalized citizen. Maybe not a birth certificate, but maybe documents showing their proof of naturalization. They could probably supply that. So there's ways around it. That doesn't mean that, we just allow no verification at all. Like that would be insane.
What I'm saying is that isn't in most states in this country that you have to provide like a birth certificate? For most people that actually have birth certificates, that you have to provide a birth certificate to get a driver's license or ID?
I don't know about other states. I know in California you don't. The only time you need a birth certificate is if you're going for a real ID. I know because I'm currently applying to get my real ID and I need to go bring my birth certificate. Where when I applied for my original driver's license, I didn't need one. I just needed my social security number and something else.
And isn't the old IDs being phased out? And everything is being moved to real ID in some form or other, right?
I actually don't know because right now both are allowed, and I don't know. I haven't read anything saying that they're phasing the old IDs out at all. So I don't know.
But yeah, I see what you're talking about. Documents requirement for real ID, proof of identity, birth certificate. That's for real ID. Standard ID requirements. Proof of California residency required if you have never held a California driver's license or card before. Proof of identity, legal presence, same options as above. So to get a standard ID in California, you need proof of identity or legal presence. What is that exactly? Do you know?
I think you have to provide like some kind of a like utility bill, like an electric bill or gas bill or something, to show that you actually live here in California, like you actually live here. And then yeah, you have to have a social security, and I don't recall if there's anything else.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I've had to do that, since I got my driver's license.
Proof of identity document serves as proof of legal presence. Proof of legal presence documents are below: U.S. passport, U.S. birth certificate, certificate of naturalization, consular report of birth abroad of a U.S. citizen, permanent resident card. Okay, so for non-immigrants or temporary residents, they would have to provide employment authorization document, valid foreign passport, and certain documents reflecting temporary protected status. That's a lot of information that somebody that wouldn't be necessarily documented within this country would have to provide. A foreign passport, an employment authorization, or temporary protected status documents. So, yeah, I mean, if you're here temporarily for a year or two, or if you're working here, or if you have some type of, I don't know, work visa, something like that, and you've been here for years, I think, and you've been paying taxes, I think you should be able to vote for representation. No taxation without representation. That's how this country started, right?
I don't think you should be, taxed at all. I think you should. So you're telling me that if you're here temporary, so if I go to another country and I'm just there temporarily for work, even if I'm there for like a year or so, I should be able to vote in their elections.
Local elections, yeah.
Okay, but not federal though.
I guess it depends on the country, but that's what I'm saying is that if you're paying taxes and you're being taxed within the country for a long period of time, and you've been a resident within that country for a long period of time, I would say over 2 years, then yeah.
Okay, so if you break into the country, like you sneak in, you cross the border illegally, you're here for 2 years, but you're paying taxes, then you should be able. Is that the process that you should be able to vote?
I'm saying people that came over here documented, not undocumented, but people that's actually, here working, here going to school, here building families or whatnot, or here or anything like that. I'm not talking about the illegal immigrants. As far as the illegal immigrants that crossed the border, that did it illegally, I don't think they should have a right to vote until they're actually documented.
Okay, so
that's just my opinion. But that's what I'm saying is that all of these local areas vote on these things. So
okay, well, what if I come here to this country illegally, right? I sneak in, I'm here for 10 years. I'm able to go under the radar for 10 years. I have a family. I'm working. I'm paying my taxes. Should I be able to vote then?
If you come here illegally?
Yes.
No, you're undocumented.
Okay, so are you talking specifically then about if you're on a visa or something?
Yeah. You're documented at that point.
Well, okay, so documented doesn't just mean that they're aware that you're here. It means that you're actually born here. At least that was my assumption when
documented
we talked about
immigrants.
Documented.
There's undocumented immigrants and there's documented immigrants, right?
Okay, so isn't documented immigrants just like the new PC way to say, like undocumented undocumented immigrants just the new PC way to say illegal aliens? Isn't that all
No,
that is?
no.
Are you sure about that? Because that was always my interpretation. Because
Well,
I highly doubt when I say I want a documented citizen, I'm not talking about people with visas. Like that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
no.
people who were born here.
Documented immigrants are lawful permanent residents. Temporary non-immigrants or refugees.
Or refugees.
Yeah.
So refugees should vote here now.
Not day one, of course, but what I'm saying is if the refugees come here, such as those South African refugees that came here, and they're here for years, work, a part of the community, pay taxes, then yeah, they should be able to vote, at least in their local elections.
Yeah, no, I think they should still go through even if they're a refugee and they're here, they should still go through a process to become a citizen of the country before they have any rights to vote in our elections. Because if they're just here temporarily, like again, temporary, there's no time frame, right? Like, it's temporary. Like, why should we let anyone that's foreign vote in our elections when we don't know how long they're going to be here for? If it's just temporary.
Because they are laying down roots here. And I think if somebody's about to leave, they're not really interested in voting anyway. But if somebody's actually investing in this country and they want to participate in the political process, then yes.
Yeah,
No.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I think you should only be able to vote here if you're naturalized or if you were born here. I think those are the only two options. If you're
Well-
not here, any of those things, I don't think you should be able to vote in our elections.
Well, I mean, it's all different depending on the state. And what Donald Trump is trying to do is make it the same on every state and pretty much removing that right from states. And the Republican Party used to be the party of states' rights and not big government. But this SAVE Act is one of the biggest pieces of legislation that increases the size of government and power of government.
No, because this is the federal government we're talking about. This is not something we should just leave state to state if it's for the national election. Yeah, if we're talking about voting for the governor of a state or something, yeah, that's one thing. But if it's for the president, all the states need to be on the same page here. Otherwise, then you got California, who has a ton of illegals here, voting in our national elections.
They're not voting in the national elections. There's no proof of that. Even the Heritage Foundation hasn't found the Republican conservative think tank, the Heritage Foundation, hasn't found any large numbers of proof of illegal voting.
How can you find that? How can you find that?
You can find it looking at there's all types of ways that you can find illegal voting if you're actually looking for it. Like I said, Donald Trump, the most powerful man in the country at the time of 2020, when he was crying about illegal voting, he said that he had proof. Even Rudy Giuliani said that they had proof, but they didn't. They accused two poll workers in Georgia, two black poll workers, I remind you, in Georgia, of
Do you think there's racism?
Putting in votes.
Do you think he singled them out because they were black? They're like, oh, the black ones. That's who's doing it.
Not necessarily, but I think it didn't help the situation either.
What do you mean it didn't help? Like it just their
because
image or just
it's a well-known fact that the black woman is the most disrespected demographic in this country.
I don't know if that's a well-known fact. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know if it's a well-known fact, but yeah,
Okay.
let's just
But-
carry on. I just wanted to ask that because you specifically pointed out two black poll workers. I didn't know why that was relevant.
I said that because Giuliani specifically pointed to that as voter fraud. But then when he came to the court hearings in a statement, he admitted to lying. And not only that, he lost that court case and had to pay them women out millions of dollars.
Well,
So
he admitted to lying specifically. What was the specific thing he admitted to lying about?
them cheating. Well, I think he said that they were stuffing the ballots and stuffing the boxes and switching ballots and whatnot. And he said in a statement that it's not illegal to lie publicly.
Oh, so he didn't admit to lying. He just said that it's not illegal to lie publicly. So he
No.
didn't admit to like lying.
He acknowledged that what he said was a lie, and to defend that, he said that it's not illegal to lie publicly. He acknowledged that he told a lie on Fox News. I remind you, that also got sued because of that. What was that voting machine?
The machines, the voting machines thing.
That was the biggest lawsuit payout in history at that point by a news station.
I'm just saying that, like, nationally, I don't think it's tyranny to ask for nationwide voter ID mandates, or because, like I said, it's not, you're going to have California and you say, well, there's no proof. There's no proof. Well, how do we know though if they're voting here illegally? Like, how can we really verify? It's not like California is really working with Trump, as far as I know, to find voter fraud.
Well,
And hold on, just my final point. When I went to vote recently, like, you could just they don't really do a good job of verifying. They just verified your address and that's it, because they don't ask for voter ID. So, I mean, illegals have addresses here. So why wouldn't they vote?
You think that's all you need to vote is address in the United States?
Well, I'm just telling you, that's how California verifies it. They verify with the thumbprint and then a signature and then your proof of address. Like, they just ask for your address and they match that, and then that's it. That doesn't prove you're a citizen here, though.
That sounds a little iffy. I would have to dig into California's voting process a little bit more directly, especially on the local level. Now, I'm aware that on the federal level, it takes California forever to count votes. It pisses me off too. But yeah, I would have to dig into that and actually see the actual process, because I'm not too familiar with California specifically and their local elections, to be honest with you. But yeah, I will let you have that. I don't have anything to rebut that, because I don't really. I would have to actually do some reading on that.
And then how come when I forgot who said, but how come when there was the idea of having ICE at voting stations, Democrats all of a sudden were like, well, hey, wait a minute. Like, if there was no one who is illegal voting, why would that be an issue?
Because we have untrained individuals in our ICE department, and that's what, like,
individuals.
Even then, one is a problem. Like, do you understand if even one person at a couple voting polls doesn't know the actual process on how to detain a person, or when to detain a person, or if they even can detain a person, they're not aware of that because they haven't been trained on that, then that leads to a whole other issue, because now there's people being handcuffed in front of voting polls. That's going to, how the court said, that would put a chilling effect on voting across this country.
I would hope it would put a chilling effect against people who are illegal who want to vote. That's what I would hope it would put a chilling effect, and would encourage them to stay away from the voting polls. So, hey, if it does put a chilling effect, I'm fine with that. It ain't going to stop me from voting because I'm legal here. So I got nothing to worry about.
It's not necessarily just illegals. It's American citizens. It's American citizens that's being pushed around by ICE. Let's put it that way.
Are these American citizens also doing some pushing around, though? Also being a little bit being a little wild themselves?
Define wild.
Well, like, so for instance, they'll get very confrontational with ICE agents. They'll maybe blow the whistle, or they'll stand in the way of ICE agents. Just try to impede on the ICE agents' process of doing what they're trying to do.
Those tactics are no different from what police officers see every protest. But it seems like these ICE agents, who are not trained, handle things completely differently.
Well, what do you mean? Well, but don't. Well, is there nationwide like proof of that? Is there this whole tons, hundreds and hundreds of ICE agents abusing their power, or is that just
No,
uh leftist nonsense because they don't like ICE and they don't like Trump?
no, I'm not saying that it's all of the ICE agents across the nation doing horrendous acts or anything like that, but there is a good bit of those ICE agents that's been um, added to the ICE agents roster, and they've only received about 1 month of training, if not 2.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to see the data on that. But
There was a former ICE agent that actually spoke in front of Congress about a month ago that spoke about the shortcuts that was made after Trump took over the White House that they cut out of the training program. So I recommend that you watch that video, that testimony in front of Congress, where he admitted the fact that a lot of training was cut out once Trump took over.
so so if that were true, then wouldn't that mean that they would it would be a whole widespread thing where ICE was just, being either abusive or just um how do you say, like, just kind of mishandling situations because they're just so inept because of their lack of training? Wouldn't this be a widespread problem, like a widespread issue then, if that was really the case?
I mean, it depends on your definition of widespread. When it happens, I think we had a lot of situations happen across this country in January where we saw not only 2 Americans, sadly, you know, that happened to them, but also we saw not necessarily the criminals being rounded up and sent out of this country. We've seen students who simply spoke out against this country sent out of this country. We've
Are you talking
seen,
about that one guy, Mahmoud Khalil? Are you talking about him, or is this a different person you're talking about?
yeah, well, yeah, the guy that was a student and was doing those Palestine protests.
Mhm.
Um, and I think he's back in this country now because they couldn't do anything about him.
Yeah.
I think
So the
that
system worked, right?
well, he shouldn't have been taken out of this country for speaking in the first place. But also, ISIS rounding up abuelas, old people. They rounded up a father of 2 Marines.
Okay. Was he here illegally?
I think he was in the process of becoming he was actually actively showing up to court hearings. He was in the process of becoming an American citizen. So he was actually doing the right thing. He
Uh-huh.
fathered 2 Marines that fought for this country, but yet he was thrown to the ground by these ICE agents.
So
67-year-old man.
so let's say I'm a bank robber, right? I've robbed a ton of banks, made a lot of money, right? But then I stopped, and then I get older and I raised 2 Marines. But then they found it's the statute of limitations hasn't over, is still there. They found out I did it and they arrest me. Are they allowed to arrest me or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what does it matter then? That just sounds like, oh my gosh, the poor guy who fathered 2 Marines. It just sounds like, oh, feel bad for
Do,
this guy type
do,
of
do,
deal. And
do
it's
you
like,
yeah, but do you consider somebody coming into this country to simply work, build a family, the equal to robbing a bank?
he still came here legally. He still came in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, he committed a crime still. That's not the process. The process
a
isn't, you
misdemeanor.
could, the
Let's be clear,
process,
a misdemeanor.
hold on. Let's also be clear. The process, as far as last time I checked, the citizenship process isn't just come into this country, and as long as you don't do anything really bad, you could get your citizenship. That wasn't, from what I recall, the process.
Yeah, of course not. But we also have to be aware that the process to actually come into this country legally is long and overinflated, and it's very contentious if you don't have money. Now, if you have money, you can get in this country yesterday. If you have millions of dollars, if you're one of these how you put it, the H-1B visas, one of those high
Oh yeah, I
IQ
know what you're talking about.
students,
Mhm.
yes, you can immediately get in this country. But if you're simply here trying to just be a part of the community, be an
Well, some of
actual
those.
part of well,
Well,
well, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I can give you that them crossing the border or coming it. I'm not even sure if those two Marines fathers, if he was a visa overstay or if he actually crossed the border illegally. But we also have to be of mind that a lot of these illegals are visa overstays. So they were allowed into this country legally. They just didn't renew their visa. Um this is a misdemeanor that we're talking about. So we can't equate that to robbing a bank, right?
It leads to bigger issues, though. That just because it's classified as a misdemeanor doesn't mean that all of a sudden, like, okay, like even people who commit misdemeanors, they still get punishment, right? Now, what's the punishment if you come here illegally, even if it's a misdemeanor? Is it this? Oh, you get a ticket or something, or do you get sent back?
Um, I think you get sent back if you commit any
Yeah.
type of high level crime. But that goes to show that he was living in this country for a very long time and did not commit not one crime. And that goes to say that a lot of Americans can't say that.
Well, it doesn't. My point is, it doesn't matter if you're here illegally. You're here illegally. Again,
Okay.
the process isn't you get to come here, and as long as you don't commit serious crimes for 10 years or so, then you get your citizenship. That's not how it works.
No, but
And so also
well,
in
yeah.
terms of the money, you want to talk about people who spend money to come here. Like, what about like the people who pay the cartels a lot of money to get smuggled in here, and then they have to work off that debt to pay the cartels? You're just enriching the cartels that way.
That I would have to look into, honestly, because I'm not sure of how prevalent that is, especially since I don't think the cartel has that much of a reach in certain areas of this country. I mean, I'm pretty sure if they wanted to, they could probably find you, but it would take a large amount of investment coming from them. And at the end of the day, they would probably end up taking a loss. And I don't imagine the cartel taking too many losses on a massive scale just to harm a person that might have disappeared on them.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Which means that they'll probably figure something out. Maybe they might know someone here in the country. It's the same thing, like in prisons, right? If someone leaves the prison and then that guy does something, if someone that's still in prison wants to do something to that person, they just have to somehow contact the person that's on the outside to get them, and they find ways. They find ways.
Yeah, true. I'm very well aware of some of the cartel. This is how I'm so familiar with work visas, especially for some of my Mexican brothers. I worked in the oil field in West Texas and Odessa, Texas for a very long time. And I saw the want and the ability to work from a lot of Mexican individuals that literally, in the oil field, it's 2 weeks on, 1 week off. These guys would cross the border and work 7 days a week for 12 hours straight to work in the oil fields right next to me. Once that 2 weeks is over, they go right back home and back and forth. These people are not here. Well, most of these people are not here to cause any issues or do anything else besides work and be a productive member of our society. Most of those people down there with the visas and stuff down there in the oil field would not nearly be as productive as it is without those people.
So again, the process to become a citizen isn't just if you come here and as long as you show that you're a good person, you get your citizenship. That's not how the process works. And so I don't really care about all these stories about how great these people are. They're really cool. Like it doesn't matter to me. That's not how you get a citizenship here. We can't just let people in and be like, well, you seem like a good person. Here you go. Or you proven to be a good person. That's just
Well,
not how our process is.
it's hard. Like honestly, like okay, prime example. I live in Mississippi, and I live in one of the reddest states in this country. We had a undocumented individual that was actually working for the sheriff's office.
Mhm.
He had been working for over a decade to get his citizenship.
Mhm.
You're expecting
Okay.
people to wait a decade to get their citizenship?
Yeah. That's fine by me. Why do we owe people a citizenship?
What do you think this country will look like if most of those immigrants that came through New York passing the Statue of Liberty had to wait 10 years to become a United States citizen? What would this country look like?
Yeah, so again, I asked you, I said, why do we owe people a citizenship where 10 years is too much? Like, why do we owe people citizenships from other countries? Why
It's not
should it be less? And why should we just let it make it easier? Why should we do these things?
it's not necessarily make it easier, but the process should be a lot more efficient. It shouldn't be a backup of people trying to become citizens in this country simply because we don't have enough judges or we don't have enough legal representatives. In the richest country in the world, that's no excuse. And what I'm saying is that all them immigrants that came through New York, we all know about this. The immigration that came through New York, Staten Island, past the Statue of Liberty. Do you know anything about what those people had to do to become citizens? Nothing.
No, what did they do? Nothing.
Nothing. But show up.
Okay. I mean, so because at one point in time, well, first of all, I don't think they had a I don't think it was as easy as that, but let's just grant that it was just that easy. Just because at one point we allowed that. So now we should just keep that should just be our policy, just make it super
No.
easy. Like I just don't
Oh,
think
of course not.
that should be the case.
Yeah, I agree. It shouldn't be our current day policy, but I think it should be a lot more efficient as it used to be. I think it should be we have the judges, we have the legal representatives to vet these people as they want to become citizens. We look at their ability to work in this country and stuff like that. Like, we have jobs to be filled in this country. We have open slots to be filled in this country. Donald Trump has kicked out all types of illegal immigrants, and Americans are not filling those jobs. You understand this, right?
Probably not yet, but with time, I think they will because it's not just that easy. Like things have to adjust. So for instance, if I was paying a guy to freaking pick my crops and I was paying him half of what I would pay an American or what Americans willing to do, yeah, an American's not going to be like, well, I'm not going to do this job right now,
Okay.
because it's only paying me this much. But it has to correct itself, and then eventually those jobs will get filled. But the
Yeah.
reason why the pay has gotten so low is because there is people here illegally willing to work for cheap and under the table. So yeah, it's going to take time for it to correct itself.
Okay.
But
And
we also have a culture too that because we've depended on illegal so much, a lot of people feel they're too entitled to not want to do these jobs as well. It's a whole thing. It's something that we have to give time to correct itself. But the solution isn't just to keep the illegals here to be our slave class, essentially.
yeah, and that's not what I want. But we have to recognize that when we talk about jobs like picking crops and whatnot, we understand that to do that job, you have to be able-bodied, strong of body, and willing to do that and able to do that. And typically, when you see people doing these types of jobs, it's not Americans for a reason, because the typical American went to high school. And whether Republicans like it or not, typically most Americans at least attempt to go to college. How many high school graduates are going to go out there and pick crops?
Well, yeah, no, exactly. Well, that goes to my whole point, though. It's like we shouldn't just you realize this is very similar to like arguments that were made during the abolishment of slavery, right? Like, well, who are going to have to pick the cotton now? It's very similar.
No,
And that's the thing. It's like
they found out it was
it's
cheaper to have employees
it was cheaper to have employees
than take care of
against the
slaves.
free against
Yes,
the free labor, essentially.
yes, they found
So
it out.
then why was there such a fight to keep slavery around at that time? Why was half the country against
You're not
abolishing it?
you're not too familiar with sharecropping, are you?
No, I'm not.
Sharecropping is when immediately after slavery, Black people had nowhere to go. Black people had no land of their own. So these old plantation owners provided land essentially where they already stayed. And because they provided that housing and stuff, they had to work their land as employees. They gave them wages, but not American dollars or American coins or anything like that. These were sharecropping wages where you could only spend these wages at the sharecropper store. That's how they found it a lot easier to keep these people around as employees, because sharecropping was still prevalent and was still easily implemented in places like Mississippi.
So, okay. So are you saying that they were willing to give up slavery because they had sharecropping? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
That doesn't make any sense, because then why was there a war to keep slavery around? Why did it divide half of the country? Why was the side that was for it, why were they making arguments like, yeah, well, listen, like then it's going to make things more expensive for the economy if we don't have our free labor? Like, why was it a whole thing then if it was just that easy to go to sharecropping?
Because they didn't necessarily know what the future was going to look like. They thought that Abraham Lincoln was going to come into the White House, allow African Americans be free, give them land like he promised to do, and actually give them a foothold in this country. But what actually happened is that the losers of that Civil War actually ended up getting reparations, actually ended up only getting a slap on the wrist, and they still had full reign control of the South after the few years after the army left. After
Wait, are you saying
Reconstruction.
Are you saying they got? Are you saying African Americans they got reparations?
No, I'm saying the slave owners got reparations. African Americans didn't.
Okay, I was just clarifying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I highly doubt that it was that. I'm pretty sure that it was due to the economy stuff. It's the same type of arguments people make now. Well, if we kick out the illegals, who's going to pick our crops? No one's going to be willing to do that. And I hear a lot of economical arguments for people that want to keep illegals around. It's never. And then it's like, if we really push it, then they'll bring up, oh, but poor Abuela, she has her family here. But really, it's mostly the economy. They always bring it up for the cheap slave, the cheap wage labor, I should say, the cheap labor. Very similar to back then with slavery. So I'm just saying that even if that's the case, the economy will correct itself as it did with slavery. And I don't think that's justification to keep people around.
Didn't our GDP go down this past year? Because
the GDP go down?
Yes, because of loss of labor.
Yeah, so I just said that
partially because of tariffs. I'll give you that. Tariffs and loss of labor.
Yeah, so I said it will correct itself eventually. Of course, when you have a sudden loss in the workforce, it's going to take a hit. It's going to happen. But eventually it's going to correct itself out. But that doesn't mean that we just keep these people here. We shouldn't view these people as just like cheap labor to have around. You know, we should actually want these people here and to come here legally, not just to have as our cheap labor force.
Yeah, just to be clear, how did you say those jobs will be filled eventually?
I said eventually the wages, for instance, if we didn't have any illegals, then eventually the pay would have to, go up if you want those positions filled.
And what that would mean for our produce.
Our produce, didn't Donald Trump already said he was going to give the farmers slack? A lot of people on MAGA got kind of upset about that. I think Donald Trump said he was going to keep them around.
Well, yeah. I know what you're talking about. He said that he would go after the illegal immigrants except for the farming and the produce locations, because it would be that harmful to not only our economy, but our grocery stores also.
Yeah, so he he allowed that, which again I disagree with. I'm not pro keeping a cheap slave class here, cheap wage class here.
Give them a pathway of citizenship.
Give them a path. Yeah, but then what that does is it's going to open the door. I'm like, oh, okay. All we got to do is sneak in now, stay low for as long as we can until we get a president that's willing to give us a pathway to citizenship.
Trump is in office right now. They can't get in. So if Trump is in office and he has the border locked down, as you say, this is the perfect time to give them pathway to citizenship. If he's not going to go after them and they're continuing to work and there's taxes being paid somewhere, because I'm pretty sure they're getting paid some money, and you don't get paid money if you don't spend it. So there's taxes coming out somewhere. Give them a pathway to citizenship.
No, because that happened already. I believe in California, Ronald Reagan gave amnesty to illegals, and did it fix anything? Like, no, it didn't fix anything. All it does is incentivizes people to keep crossing the border illegally because, again, like, so let's say, yeah, Trump has it locked down, right? Okay, well, the next time a Democrat comes in, they open up the border again. And then what? It's just, it's only locked down for Trump.
Well, I will disagree with opening up the border as you try to put out there that visionary type thing, because that's not necessarily accurate, because a lot of those numbers that Trump bring up is included in that immigration app that the Biden administration came up with, that immigration app. If you're seeking asylum or any of that, there's an app that you can download, well, immigrants can download and register, get pre-screened and everything like that, right? A lot of, I believe, Haitians came into this country that way. Mm-hmm. Technically, they can't, under our laws at the time, they came into this country the correct way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why is Trump chipping them back out?
Okay, so that would be like, let's say like I had my house, right? Mm-hmm. And there was a bunch of, let's say I gave people in my neighborhood permission to come in my house and just stay here, right? Now, technically, they're not doing anything wrong. I let them in. However, like people in my family might have an issue with that, even though I did nothing wrong. And so eventually, let's say my wife gets sick of me and I get kicked out or whatever, and then she ends up getting these people out of there. Technically, these people didn't do anything wrong. They came in the right way. That doesn't mean that it's right to just let these people in here. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Yeah, like, it doesn't mean that it was right. That was kind of like a legal loophole, which if you're all about, corruption or whatever like that, I mean, that's a little,
that's not necessarily accurate though, because we have laws in this country that kind of fight back against people owning a property and kicking those residents of that property out immediately. I mean, we have certain laws that say you have to wait a certain time frame to kick these people out or give them an opportunity to find a new place, right?
Wait, sorry, say that one more time.
I mean, we have laws in place in this country. You said that, if they came into your home and they were living in your home and you get kicked out one day, it wouldn't be a problem if your wife kicked them out afterwards. But in that situation, in that hypothetical, we have laws in this country that prevents things like that from happening, because we know something like that can only lead to more harm overall. Like a owner of a residence, even if you have other people staying in your home, if they've been in your home over a certain period, you can't just kick them out, right?
Yeah, so that was purely a hypothetical. I didn't mean that to be an actual scenario. The point I was trying to get across was that just because they came in here, because when Biden was in charge, he made a legal entry, doesn't necessarily mean that it was the right thing to do. And so that's why I don't have a problem with it if Trump kicks those people out of the country. So that's what I was trying to get at with my hypothetical.
Explain to me, why wasn't it the right thing to do? If they were pre-screened, if they were verified, we know who they are documented, why wasn't that the right thing to do?
Through an app? It was through an app?
They were still verified. They still had to go through customs and everything. So
So yeah, what did they check for in customs? Just that you're not smuggling any drugs or weapons or anything? Isn't that
No,
what they?
they at those I know for a fact they check for any type of criminal backgrounds, especially on that app with that pre-screening, and they continue to do that as you're being processed throughout this whole immigration stuff. I mean, whatever is available. I know records can be a little limiting in places like Haiti and everything, but as far as like, I don't know of any situation where like there was mass hysteria in these places that these people, like Donald Trump said, eating cats and dogs. Like that's not happening.
Well, there was videos. So the cats and dogs thing, people were circulating videos online. People were seeing it. He didn't like put this lie out there. He was repeating something that we were saying and that we were saying. So I understand. I understand those videos could be debunked or something like. I'm just saying that he didn't put that lie out there. If that's your
Do,
claim.
do you think it's wise to make a person that believes whatever he sees on his Twitter feed the most powerful
that's-
person in the planet?
Well, if we're going to go back to people saying things they shouldn't, then we're going to go back to the Joe Biden calling us extremists.
I'm not saying no. It's a different notion that I'm levying towards you. I'm saying that he's actually believing the stuff that he sees on his Twitter feed. That's a completely different thing. That's concerning.
So Obama believing that we have this like racist, like this racist issue here in this country, and then telling that to American people again, if you want to go down this road again, we can. I'm just telling you, that this is something that people were seeing. And again, the video evidence here, like it wasn't just pulled out of the air.
It wasn't real. Especially in
AI.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't real. It wasn't verified. It was no proof of it.
Verified by whom?
There's no police. Yes. Police stations came out and had to say that there's no record of this happening after that debate.
So what if it wasn't reported though? Can you record something and then not report it?
Who in America, especially Caucasian individuals, who in America is going to watch a pet being eaten and not call the cops?
So it was white people that was doing the recording?
No, I'm not saying it's white people. I'm just saying, you guys love your pets. All I'm saying is, what person in America is going to see pets being eaten or taken, because that's what he insinuated also, and not call the cops?
Okay, so if I'm watching it from here in California and this is going on in wherever it happened at, I call their police station and I say, I don't know when this happened. I just saw a video of it online. That's what I do.
No, if it's actually going on in a place, I'm pretty sure somebody would have noticed and filed a police report, or at least dialed 911. That's all I'm saying.
But what if there is no one else around? What if it was just one person recording? And also, is it illegal to eat a dog and a cat, like in all states and all cities? Like, what if it's not legal to do that?
I think it's considered animal abuse to do something like that to a pet in this country, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. From what I know, it's not illegal to abuse pets in like all states. It's not like a nationwide law.
Well, yeah, I'm not familiar with states from laws from state to state, but all I'm saying is that Donald Trump is particularly concerning because I've never seen a president just believe something that he's seen on social media at all. And he was convinced. Like, let's be honest here, he was convinced that was actually going on, and he went in front of millions of people and tried to convince us of it. That's concerning.
In Haiti, do they not eat like animals like that? Do they not eat dogs or cats or geese or because they're eating geese too? Do they not eat?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one of the poorest places in the Western Hemisphere. I'm pretty sure they do.
Okay, so if they're coming over here, it's not unreasonable to think they would be doing that here.
No.
It's not unreasonable, it wouldn't happen.
No, it's not reasonable because they are in a wealthy country where you can literally go anywhere and get a job or anywhere
That's
Well,
that's our
rather you like it or not, most of them Haitians came into this country with a stipend. Well, I think for food specifically.
but that's entirely our concern, though, is that just because you step on our land doesn't automatically make you in tune with our culture and our values here. These
It's true.
people, they're coming over here from their countries, they're bringing their culture and values over here. And it's starting to dilute the American culture, and that's what we're trying to preserve here. Like if you have people coming from Haiti, where it's okay to eat dogs and cats and geese like that,
Will you
we
say
don't
the
want
same
them
thing
bringing it
about
over
the
here.
Irish?
The Arabs.
Will you say the same thing about the Irish?
Oh, the Irish. If there was a
Scottish.
big yeah, if there is a big influx of Scottish and Irish people not in tune and they were bringing their culture over here, yes, I would say the same thing. If they were coming here illegally, yes.
Are you familiar with the potato famine?
Yes, I am familiar with that. I'm not an expert, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
This country received a large influx of Irish immigrants into this country at one specific time, if I remember right. But we have St. Patrick's Day.
Uh-huh.
So we kind of made that a part of American culture, right?
So what you're saying is that we need to make cat and dog eating and geese eating
No.
part of American culture now, or
No,
what are
not
you trying to say
necessarily.
here?
I'm saying that American culture is a hodgepodge of different cultures. The Italians, they brought their culture over here. It's all types of different cultures that's a part of current day America that we enjoy today that
Yeah, but it
came
seems like
from
there are
different places.
it seems like there are people that are trying to erode our culture and erase it because they felt that this was built on a white supremacist, colonialist foundation, and so they're trying to erode it. And so I feel like they're trying to bring in a lot of necessarily like I hate to put it this way, but I can't think of another way to put it, like brown skin, like darker skin people, because they think, oh, this is a way to fix that in a way. This is the woke Marxism that I was talking about earlier, like this race Marxism.
I would believe that if there was a guarantee that immigrants would vote a certain way. But I think we both know that when immigrants come into their country, they're extremely conservative. Donald Trump
No.
had large N-ways with Mexicans in Texas.
Yeah, he had a lot of headways, but it wasn't it's he had a lot of headway, but it's no, like people are not coming to this country and voting conservative because the Republicans aren't offering them anything. It's the Democrats that are offering them free stuff. So they're voting for Democrats. And it's like I said, here in California, we're pro, like, and when I mean our state is pro illegal immigration. It's a sanctuary state for illegals. They don't want to work with ICE. So yeah, they're going to vote Democrat because Democrats are the one protecting them. So that doesn't follow.
Nigeria just passed one of the toughest LGBTQ laws in the world. If one of those people that voted for that in Nigeria came over here to America, which political ideology do you think he will align more with?
Probably the conservatives, but I wouldn't want him to vote on it unless he was legal.
I'm just saying it now. Imagine if he brought his family over here and eventually had kids.
Uh-huh.
That kid
do it legally?
That kid now has conservative parents, right?
Yeah. Assuming this is all legal, yes.
So there's no guarantee that Democrats or Republicans can guarantee the political ideologies of these people.
Yeah, that's very true. That's why I said they promise illegals or people that aren't actually citizens here stuff and protections. Okay, the family that you brought up is legal. Okay, and so they went about it. They did it the right way, the way you're supposed to. And so, yes, they're probably going to have a natural inclination to vote for more law and order and conservatism because they already did it the right way. It's already, yeah, they're just more inclined.
Do you think Cubans, even if they came over illegal, you know how Cubans get to Florida, do you think they're more aligned with conservative values, even if they're illegal? or liberal values?
Um, I don't know, but I guess I could say maybe they would be more conservative because they're fleeing Cuba, which is a communist state. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so they'll probably be more conservative.
A lot of these places are leaving communist areas, correct?
Yeah. Hmm.
So it's not like once you get into this country, you don't have even for illegals, you don't have to be a liberal once you here. You right, you know that, right? It's not like, oh, as soon as we find out you're conservative, Democrats are gonna kick you out. No, that's not how that works. Right?
Yeah, I guess there's no guarantee, but I would still say that if you're a conservative and you're fleeing a different country, you're going to more likely do things the right way. You're not going to stay illegal and just try to hide under the radar. You're going to try to go through the process in some shape or form. Either way, like if they get deported back to the country again, I'm fine with it. It's
Yeah,
like, you know,
I hear you, but I think you kind of touched on something that I had another discussion with another Republican individual, and he's actually running for office. Um, illegal immigrants. If we look at this logically and try to put ourselves in the mind of an illegal immigrant, do you think this illegal immigrant is going to risk his freedom simply trying to register to vote? Doesn't get him any money, doesn't do anything to improve his life directly, but he's going to risk the risk he took getting over here. He's going to risk that to register to vote.
yeah, they rarely risk it trying to work. So yeah, I
Because
think
they
they
get
would.
money from it. You don't get money from voting.
You could get protections from voting. If there's a Democrat saying, if you're illegal here, this is a sanctuary, we're going to make this a sanctuary state. You know, ICE is bad. Yeah, if I'm illegal, I'm like, oh, I'm going to vote for that person.
A lot of illegals are in red states.
There's a lot of illegals in blue states too.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure
So, which is actually makes my point, because then, like, if there's more illegals allowed in those red states, which there's not, which is why they're not enough to vote. Though, if there's enough in there, they could vote for a blue person, assuming that the laws are lax
But
there.
do you really think these illegals are coming into this country just all this work, walking hundreds of miles because you say they're crossing the southern border? We will talk about them folks that actually walked and did all that work to get here. You think they are going to risk having all of that taken away to attempt to register to vote?
Yes. If they go to California, because there's options. There's California, there's Texas. And I'm like, well, I'm going to California because clearly they're more friendlier toward me than Texas. And yeah.
Even in California, I know there's undocumented people that vote in your local elections there, right?
Yeah.
I don't see an illegal immigrant risking voting in federal elections because they know that that is going to bring down some oversight on them. Let's put it that way. I just don't see it. I see if you're coming into this country and you know you're illegal, you come into this country illegally. The last thing I imagine you doing is walking into a place to risk all of that work that you've done to get here for free. I remind you. Now I understand trying to get a job because that's the whole purpose of them coming here is to get access to our economy, to our dollars. I understand that. But voting is free. You don't get paid for that.
Yeah, but if again, like I said, if there's a politician that's promising you protections, like, oh, cool, now I could work and I could have access to that economy where I could send back to my family or just keep here. And I'm not going to get deported because I have this politician saying that they don't like ICE and that this is a sanctuary state and I'm going to get free health care and all these things. Then yeah, I'm like, okay, I'm going to vote for this person.
As far as your state, those are local elections, so they're legally able to vote in those, but I'm talking about federal elections where the president of the United States doesn't really have a say so over that.
Okay, so yeah, they could. Like if you had two presidential candidates, one saying the same thing, like you have Donald Trump who's like, I'm gonna build the wall, I'm gonna be harsher on legal immigration. Then you have the one that's like, I'm gonna take down the wall, and I'm also going to, they did this cater to the illegals. Yes, it is gonna affect it on a federal level as well.
First of all, that wall was a complete waste of time because it really wasn't going to do anything. He didn't even finish building the wall. But
It doesn't really matter to my point, though. I'm just saying that if you
I
have
agree.
two candidates, one saying they're going to be harsh on illegal immigration, the other one saying they're not, yes, they're going to go for that candidate.
Yeah, but for the people that's already here that doesn't have to worry about somebody being harsh on illegal immigration, then I don't see why somebody already here illegally would risk that by voting in a federal election. I just don't see it. Like I don't see people that know they're here illegally risking
People
that
risk-
freedom just for a vote. They
People
can
risk
already,
things.
like for example, in
People
your
risk things
state,
all the time. People
I know
literally,
I know they
yeah,
do,
people
but
risk things all the time for much less,
yes,
Um,
typically Americans, because we're more accustomed to risk in several different arenas. But as far as illegal immigrants, I majority of them don't even commit more crime than most Americans.
Well, so you said that only like mostly Americans do it, but I mean, you already talked about how, like, well, not you, but specifically people on the left and Democrats will say, like, oh my gosh, they risk their lives to get over here to this country.
Yeah.
So that's a huge risk in itself, just coming over here alone. You don't think that once they already risked their life coming here, right? They've already like risked trying to get a job and start a life here under the radar, and they hear a presidential candidate that's like, yeah, we're gonna abolish ICE, or we're just not gonna be that harsh on it. They're going to be like, oh, cool. Now I don't have to be stressed out as much. I'm going to vote for this candidate here. You don't think that they're going to risk going to the voting poll after risking their lives to hopefully get that candidate in office?
Yeah, if there was a political candidate specifically catering to illegal immigrants, but I have not heard of any presidential candidate saying those specific things.
Well, the Democrats, just in general, they're very illegal friendly. That's why it's like, go ahead.
It depends on where you're at, because there are certain Democrats that are not illegal friendly, such as Obama.
Oh yeah, Obama with the turnaways, right? And he also had the kids in the cages and everything. That was before everything went to. That was before when Democrats were kind of normal. Like Bill Clinton was also against illegal immigration. That's before Trump got in and everyone started flipping out against illegal immigration. It was like, oh my God, that's so racist and xenophobic and everything. So now the Democrats have gotten more left, and now they're more friendlier toward the illegals here.
Well, perspective matters, and it seems like illegal immigration started becoming a very large issue once Donald Trump started screaming about it.
Well, he wasn't the first one to speak out about it. As you said, Obama was against it. Bill Clinton was against it. So what makes Donald Trump different, which again, I guess that goes back to the original, what makes him different like that? What's it about Trump? Yeah.
He doesn't what was it? He doesn't believe in what is the amendment that makes sure that every person within the United States has to get due process?
14th Amendment?
Due process.
The 14th Amendment?
Yeah, due process. Every person within this country is required due process. Now, we do have a law within this country that says if you're caught within a certain range of the United States border, you can get kicked right back out. What Donald Trump has been doing is expanding that to the entire country. So if you're an illegal anywhere in this country, you haven't been getting due process, which is unconstitutional, and you haven't been having your day in court. So this is the difference between Trump and Obama. Obama abided by that due process standard. If you now in the Obama era, if you were caught within a certain range of the border, you were kicked immediately out without due process. But unlike Trump, anybody outside of that range of the border had due process.
Yeah, no, there is due process for for illegals, and it's just different than for American citizens. That he's absolutely abiding by it, even in times where it might have been overstepped or he did something wrong. Well, the Supreme Court struck it down, and then they were brought back or returned. The system's working as it should. They are getting due process the same way as they've done before. It just feels like it's just different because it's Trump. It's just different when it's Trump.
If Donald
That's it.
Trump,
It's just Orange Man
if
bad.
Donald
That's
Trump
it.
had his way, would these people have due process?
We don't know that. I think they would.
The
I mean, he's
courts-
abided by he's
the
abided
courts
by
had to
everything
stop
so
him.
far. And did he listen? Did he abide by it?
No, not at first.
But he did, right?
The Abrego Garcia situation is a prime example.
He's back here though, right?
Yeah, he's back here. He's
Yeah,
back
he's
here.
back here.
Mostly
Mhm.
because of the courts, and it wasn't because Trump wanted him back.
It doesn't matter if he wanted him back or not. The fact of the matter is he's back here because of the courts. Remember when Joe Biden wanted to wipe out student debt and then the Supreme Court struck him down? Joe Biden still tried to find ways to get that student debt wiped. He didn't just go, "Oh, okay, I guess I lost that one." Donald Trump, I don't see Donald Trump doing that. I don't see him still trying to like get Abrego Garcia out of here. He deported him, he got brought back, and he's back. That's it.
Well, the difference between that is that that first statement you made, Abrego Garcia, before he was shipped out of this country, we can agree that he had zero due process, and that was because the Trump administration saw fit to do so, right?
Well, no, it depends what you mean by due process, but they didn't just throw this random guy out. They had reason to believe, due to evidence that he was here illegally and illegally, and they deported him.
Exactly, but legal deportation scenarios require that if you want to deport a person, they have to see a judge first, right? Outside of the border area.
Yeah, from what I recall, he wasn't a permanent citizen, but he was allowed to be here because of fear gang retaliation in his own country. However, I believe when he got deported, that fear was already gone. Like he could be deported. And they had evidence that he may have committed crimes. I know he wasn't convicted of anything, but there was evidence there. He also had gang affiliations, which was what they're targeting. And then they deported him.
That was a very much a stretch. And that's another scenario that was very weird to me on Trump. He posted on his social media Photoshop numbers on this man's fingers and said that those were actual tattoos. This president, I'll give that to him just being old. Let me put it that way. I'll give him some grace. He's just very old.
I mean, regardless, he got shipped out. The courts, found an issue saying you can't do that. And then they brought him back and he's back. Donald Trump hasn't tried to get him out again or anything. He's back, and then that's it. So again, you keep your claim originally was that Donald Trump doesn't care about it. Well, it seems like he's respecting it and he's honoring the court's decision. So
because there was a very shaky situation. I know you know about the plane going up at 12 o'clock at night. As soon as that judicial order was put out there, and they were trying to get that plane with Abrego Garcia in the sky before that order was actually to take effect. It seems like they were actively trying to get this man out of the country before a judge stopped them.
I mean, maybe, I don't know, but it's not the point. The point is that if Donald Trump really didn't care, okay, but then you would have to prove the intent. We're just speculating then. the point is that like your claim is that he doesn't care about the Constitution or the rule of law. Again, the court struck it down. He's respecting it, and Albrego Garcia is back. So that kind of refutes the whole claim that he just doesn't care. He just doesn't care about it.
Okay. Well, when I say Donald Trump doesn't respect the rule of law, I'm talking more on the fact that he continues to deny the 2020 election, continues to say that it was fraud, continues to say that the entire situation was some type of setup, even though he was the most powerful man in the country. He continues to critique mail-in voting, even though he benefits from it majorly. And yeah, I just don't know how you can say this man respects the Constitution when he was attempting to send a false slate of electors to Washington, D.C. on January 6th and demanded that his vice president approve these false electors. That's literally overturning the election.
Do you think that he didn't? Do you think he was lying when he said the election was rigged, or do you think he really thinks it was?
On January 6th, when he said it was rigged, he was lying, and he knew he was lying because the people around him told him that there was no proof, including Bill Barr, including who was this? Mike Pence, and it was his top personnel person. I forgot the name of that dude, but yeah, it was 3 high-ranking officials around him telling him there is no proof of fraudulent activity. You should not be saying this. Everything. There's testimony from Bill Barr, his AG, that he's saying that he called Trump insane and says that he was going to get everybody arrested.
So, have you ever believed something, and then even when people try to tell you, "Oh, this isn't the case, it's not true," you didn't believe them, and you still believe the thing that you thought?
No. And if that is the
No,
case,
even that's never
would-
happened where you really believe something, people around you try to tell you that wasn't true, or someone tried to tell you that, and you still believed what you believed. That's never happened to
It
you.
depends on the credibility of the people telling me that. Like, for example, the top cop in the nation tells me that this did not happen.
What if the
I'm
top
probably going to believe him a lot more than a random person on the street, right?
okay, what if a top cop in the country tells you there's not a racism problem with police?
There's not a racism problem. I would
Yes.
ask him what is his opinion based in. Cite a source.
Okay, what if he says there's studies done, there's no,
Okay,
plus he's the top cop. He's the top cop.
I would look at the information he provided me. And if that information proves what he says, then I would agree with him.
Are you sure about that? Or would you still be like, nah, I don't
No,
know. I don't know.
I'm a very logical person, and I can understand that if there's information that goes against what I believe, I can change what I believe.
A lot of people. Okay, look, a lot of people like to think that, but a lot of people are also, we're not like emotionless creatures. As much as we try to be very logical, our emotions get in the way. And so listen, I don't believe that you would just be like, okay, there's not a race. I think you would still believe it. I just have a hunch. But listen, I could just take your word for it and be like, okay. Regardless, because you don't think Trump might have still really believed that the election was stolen. Like, you don't think that it had to have been he was lying?
There's a big difference between telling people, American people, all his fans, that he thinks the election was stolen and he knows that the election was stolen. You know that, right? There's a complete difference between those two things. And that shows that he was attempting to do something that no other president before him did. And that was to not only question our democracy, but
what's wrong with that? What's wrong with questioning our democracy, though? What's wrong with that?
That's fine. But without proof.
Well, so people say that there's no proof. There was a lot of weird things going on. It wasn't like Donald Trump. It wasn't like us as supporters were like, "Oh, yeah, he lost. Oh well." And then Trump came and said, "No, actually it was stolen." And we were like, "Oh shit, it was?" Like, no, we were all watching the election. We were all seeing these weird shady things happening, and we all thought something weird was going on there. There was something questionable. And
Cool.
so
That's a misnomer because we all know Donald Trump was saying that the election was fraudulent 2 months before the election even happened. He was priming people to already believe these things. He did this in 2020. I mean 2025.
yeah, but if there was no if there was nothing to support it, then like it wouldn't have mattered. Like why were they covering up the windows of the election observers? What why did all of a sudden the spike for Joe Biden happen, and then both of them had highly inflated votes, 81 million votes, and where did they all show up for Kamala? A lot of stuff doesn't make any sense. Like, and then this is the first election, by the way, that had massive mail-in voting. Again, no voter ID or anything, no way, just massive mail-in voting.
What?
You think it's? I'm not saying it's for sure was election fraud, but do you blame Trump or us for thinking that there was?
Yes, because you guys did not provide any proof. You didn't provide any verify. Then you say mail-in voting it was at record rates, but didn't even acknowledge that COVID was going on at this point in time. Like it's like you guys look at this election in a in a vacuum without looking at any other scenario surrounding this election. Mail-in voting was at record levels because COVID was going on.
Well, no, I said
And
81 million votes for Joe Biden. You honestly think 81 million people showed up to or even mailed in ballots all for Joe Biden? It was Joe Biden mania. 81. Again, they
yes,
didn't even show up for Kamala. Like Kamala didn't even get anywhere near that.
yes. Do you know why?
Why?
Because
Because Orange Man bad.
no, because majority of America had time on their hands. People didn't have to worry about working, taking off from work to vote. I mean, technically you don't have to, but people move throughout their day. People find things to do throughout their day. When COVID was going on in 2020, people had nothing else to do.
Uh-huh.
So of course they're going to participate in one of the very few things that happened that year on the ground.
So yeah, again, so it doesn't there's still people who were working. It wasn't like everything just stopped.
Of course.
Like there was a lot of people still working. Like why would we even like we didn't complete the thing about COVID was like life didn't completely stop. Like you mean it like how come we couldn't have voting, in-person voting, and people just do the 6 feet distance lines or just make sure you wear masks or things of that nature? How come we had to have the mail in? Well, then how come we needed the mail in balloting then?
It was an option for people to use. Like here in Mississippi, like you could mail in your vote or you could go to a poll. And yes, you have to socially distance, but this was to try and keep down the populations physically at the polls because COVID was still at its height at that point.
Yeah, but still 81 million. And again, you're also ignoring all the irregularities that I brought up, like the petitioning off of the windows of the viewing, when they could see the vote counting process, when you could see it, they were blocking it off. There was the footage of those the suitcases that were being brought up. Again, the major spike with Biden.
And
they lied about the pipe breaking.
About is that Rudy Giuliani thing that I brought up. To be clear.
Well, what about the video then? Like, so what was the video? And I think I know what you're talking about. I'm talking about something else. Where late at night you could see a car coming up, and then they're walking like suitcases into the facility. There was just a lot of weird stuff like that, and it's just like, even if I'm completely wrong here, again, how can you sit there and say how can you sit there and say, yes, it's not unreasonable to believe that what Derek Chauvin did was out of racism, even though you have no proof for that. Okay, but I'm unreasonable if I thought the election was stolen or Trump was unreasonable because
Well,
he thought the election was
you're
stolen
putting
and that
words.
he had to be
But
lying
I didn't say that it was solely because of racism. I said that he treated that man a little bit different because of
due to his race,
not strictly because of his race, but his,
mostly due to his race.
if you want to call it that. All I'm saying is that even if Donald Trump felt that there was some type of fraudulent activity around 2020, right? Does that give him the right to try and attempt to send false electors to our Congress on January 6th?
I don't think that was the first time that's been done. I
When
don't know.
was the last time it was done?
I could look it up
Because that's attempting to overturn an election.
Not necessarily. No.
If those electors were accepted, would it not overturn the election? That's why they were talking about doing those things to Mike Pence, is because it was up to him to accept those electors, right?
Sure. Yeah. Let me look it up. So what was it?
False electors being sent to Congress on January 6th. You don't have backup electors, especially with electors not approved by the state. The states have to approve electors. The electors that Trump sent to the White House were not approved by the states. I'm replying to one of your comments. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no worries. It's pulling it up right now.
It wasn't an alternate slate of electors. They were not proven by the state. Luke himself, they were not approved by the state themselves. The states have to send the electors. Trump handpicked these electors and sent them to Congress.
Yeah, so it has been done before. The 1876 election, Hayes versus Tilden. The most famous case, disputes in Florida, Louisiana, South Carolina, and Oregon led to two states of electors from the states meeting and voting. Both slates sent certificates to Congress. Tilden led 184 to 165 with 20 votes disputed. An electoral commission, 15 members, voted 8-7 along party lines to award the votes to Rutherford B. Hayes, giving him 185 to 184 and the presidency. This was resolved via compromise, ending Reconstruction. Both parties claimed victory in southern states amid fraud/intimidation allegations and returning boards that threw out votes. There was also something with Kennedy and Nixon. Hawaii was extremely close. Both Democrat and Republican slate of electors cast votes because the outcome was still being recounted when the electors met. The governor initially certified Republicans. After a recount flipped it to Kennedy, a new Democratic slate was certified. Vice President Nixon, presiding over the count, accepted only the final certified Democratic slate. He noted it shouldn't set a board precedent. So this wasn't the first time that's been done.
You left out something very specific. Donald Trump and his administration picked these electors from each state. All those other scenarios, those states approved those electors. None of these electors that was sent to Congress by Trump were approved by their individual states. You understand that, right? These were fraudulent electors, not alternate, not backup. These were actual fraudulent electors because they were not approved by their states.
Yeah, it just sounds to me like it's just different when Trump does it. It's just Trump, but Orange Man bad. That's what
it's a significant difference. That's what makes this attempted overturning of an election, because a president picked out electors himself. Do you think that's okay?
Well, it's been done before.
President picked out electors? Show me where a president has handpicked electors and sent them to Congress.
What does it matter if it's done by a president or the state? Again, it just feels like you're trying to move the goalpost here because it's Trump. That's all it feels like.
I'm pinpointing what makes this concerning.
Did Trump leave the office?
Not willingly.
He left though, right? I mean, he didn't have to be escorted out. He didn't have a sit-in. He didn't have a sit-in and then had to be like dragged out of there. He left, right?
January 6th happened, my guy. While January 6th was going on, he had a whole scheme to send those false electors to Congress. Why was Donald Trump pressuring Mike Pence?
See, you're calling it
just answer the question. Why was Donald Trump pressuring Mike Pence?
Well, because he felt that the election was rigged.
What was he asking Mike Pence to do?
Let me look it up. What was Trump asking Mike Pence to do? With what? Like the electoral votes, or
on January 6th?
On Jan 6th.
Trump was a very important part of putting those false electors together, him and his administration, including Giuliani. They all got together and got those fake electors sent to Congress.
See, here's the thing: is that that's all speculation. Again, you're mind reading again, and you're like, "Oh, they had this evil scheme."
You didn't read what you didn't read what you looked up. What was the answer to that?
It's still pulling it up. It says still thinking. There you go. Pressured Mike Pence as president of the Senate, residing over the joint session of Congress, to take actions that would have disrupted or altered the certification of the 2020 electoral vote results in Trump's favor. What Trump specifically asked Pence to do. Trump and his legal allies wanted Pence to reject or return electoral votes from several states Biden won, unilaterally declare that there were no valid electors from those states due to alleged fraud, reducing the total electoral votes and potentially flipping the outcome to Trump, or sending it to the House for a contingent election where Republicans held an advantage by state delegation, pause or adjourn the count for 10 days or longer to allow state legislature to investigate or appoint alternate electors. So that's what I remember it being, that he wanted to pause the count. He didn't want to try to just be declared the winner. It's because the courts were just throwing everything out, and he was like, he wanted this stuff to be looked into. He wanted it to be investigated. Which we all did. Again, we all saw shady things going on. And so that's what he wanted to do. But that failed. That failed. And did he leave? Did he leave?
Yes, but when he called the Secretary of State, when he called the Secretary of State in Georgia, he wasn't asking for investigations. He was asking for votes.
No, he wasn't asking for votes. Like, he wasn't, I know what you're talking about. He wasn't asking for like made up votes. Like, he wasn't saying, yo, just make up more votes. He was trying to, I forgot the details, but I just know it wasn't like fraudulent votes.
What about the Secretary of State in Arizona? He is a hardline Republican. Like, he is a Republican if I ever seen one in my life. He actually voted for Trump in that election. Giuliani and Trump's personal lawyer went down to Arizona to see the Secretary of State in Arizona. Do you know anything about that meeting?
I think so, but refresh my memory.
Giuliani and Trump's personal lawyer went down there to meet the Secretary of State. They asked him to not allow Arizona to go to Biden. Even though he won the votes, they didn't ask for any investigations. They simply asked the Secretary of State to not allow Arizona to go to Biden.
Isn't Arizona under investigation right now for voter fraud?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Let me look it up. Arizona, Arizona, that was a controversial state.
Okay.
Yeah, in Fulton County.
That's Georgia.
Oh. Okay, well, it's pulling it up.
Yeah, that's when he sent Tulsi Gabbard down to Fulton County, Georgia to get all that voter data. But it's weird because they still haven't come out with any verified proof of voter fraud.
So, yeah, there is no credible evidence of widespread voter fraud by major path. Yeah. Arizona is under investigation for voter fraud.
Investigation for what? Based on what criteria?
The U.S. Department of Justice has sent letters threatening criminal prosecution of Arizona election officials, including Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, if they knowingly allow non-citizens on voter rolls or count their ballots. Similar letters went to multiple states. The DOJ is also deploying election monitors to Arizona counties like Maricopa, Apache, Pima for upcoming elections, citing potential past issues and aiming to boost confidence. Arizona officials have called some this intimidation or politically motivated. 2020 election related probes. The Arizona fake electors case continues with charges like fraud, forgery, conspiracy.
That's the fake electors. The 18 Republican individuals, including 11 Arizona Republicans, who signed a fraudulent certificate of ascertainment claiming Donald Trump won the 2020 election. That's the fake elect prosecution.
Yeah, I got it. There's more though. Federal investigations have sought records from Maricopa County's 2020 processes and the Cyber Ninjas audit, which found Biden won by a slightly larger margin than originally certified with no widespread fraud. Some records were taken, but this ties more to reviewing past claims and uncovering new fraud. Voter roll and non-citizen focus disputes over access to voter data, proof of citizenship rules, and database issues continue. So yeah, it just sounds like there's a lot of eyes on Arizona. So if what you're saying is true, it's not unreasonable why he would suspect Arizona of some shady business. Which, why is this stuff going on? If Donald Trump really didn't feel like there is voter fraud, then why is he still talking about it to this day, and why is this still going on to this day?
That's what I say about this president. He does a lot of crying and not a lot of showing.
Yeah, but if he's crying still, that shows that he wasn't lying then. Okay, but it shows that he wasn't lying then, that maybe he feels that it really was stolen.
No, he knows that it wasn't stolen. He's
crying. He's lying and crying.
Yes, that's why he got up out of that interview when he was actually pushed. What was that? Meet the Press, where he got it. They don't even give hardball questions. All that lady did was push him a little bit on the 2020 election, and he couldn't handle it. He threw the mic down on the floor and ran out the room because he knows he's lying.
No,
and he can't defend it.
Yeah, no. Again, that's a lot of mind reading. That's not. Trump gets fed up a lot with the press, always trying to like get him in these gotchas or like you get like
the press though.
Yeah, it could happen anywhere. You act like if
that was Kamala, you would say she's not fit for office. She can't handle it.
Well, yeah, I would say that because Kamala has dealt with a lot less pushback from the media than Donald Trump. Kamala couldn't even take a Joe Rogan interview because she didn't want to look bad in there. She had to take that Call Her Daddy podcast show and everything
that Donald Trump has ever had.
Huh?
Name the toughest interview that you've seen Trump ever have.
I mean, most of them, like a lot of them, they always try to get him in gotchas. They always try to get him. Are you really saying, like, look at how you feel about Trump? Trump bad, Orange Man bad. You don't think people that are interviewing him feel the same way about him, or people in Congress?
Most of the people that's interviewing him, or he calls in the freaking shows, it's on Fox News, Newsmax. It's somewhere on the conservative side.
No, that is not true. He's taken a lot of media interviews. That's why I'm having a hard time recounting, because he's taken a lot. There is the one with that one lady who doesn't she work for CNN, or she worked for some left-leaning, and she did an interview with him. He does interviews all over the place, where Kamala Harris didn't even want to do Joe Rogan, and she had to do that Call Her Daddy where they had to rebuild the studio there. It was very carefully handled. You had Joe Biden, where the toughest question he has is like, hey, what ice cream is your favorite? It's just, being asked, which ice cream is your favorite, Joe Biden? That's the toughest question he has to take.
I don't think so. Especially after the other debate with Trump, Biden and Trump, I think it was very,
that's like actually, that's another good example. man, what debate he had where they fact checked like everything Trump said and barely anything for, was it Kamala or whoever he was debating? Like they barely fact checked anything.
Yeah,
And
it
then it
was
puts out
Kamala.
this, and then it puts out this image is like, well, they have to fact check him more because he's just always lying. And then people like you buy it and are like, oh shit, yeah, he's just always lying. He's just this big liar and he's Orange Man bad. When in reality, Kamala Harris said things that weren't true either, but they let her skip by that, and then they only fact checked Donald Trump on everything. I remember the guy got fact checked once when he was like, "Man, we had a ton of hamburgers there," because I forgot they bought a lunch for a team or something. I forgot what, but they're like, "Yeah, we had burgers to the sky or to the ceiling," and they fact checked like, "Did they really have burgers to the ceiling?" And it's like, clearly he's not being serious. Clearly he's being facetious there, but they
And
fact check that guy on everything, you know? And so when you say that, oh, they don't push back on him, like, what are you talking about? Like, what world are you living in?
I think if I remember right, when he was fact checked during that debate, it was more
Because a whole
actual
bunch of
things that he
lies.
was saying that was wild, like the cats and dogs thing, like Trump saying that
Yeah.
US crime was up through the roof when they actually
Uh-huh.
have been going down year over year, the past 2 years. Trump said something about
And everything Kamala said was truthful, right? 100% facts, right?
I don't necessarily remember. Did they not fact check her
Not as
at
much
all?
as Trump, and
Not as
it
much.
wasn't as much as Trump. It was like really rare. And
Do you
it's like,
think?
I remember watching this. Yeah, do I think just Kamala was just more right? No, I
No.
don't.
Wait a
There was
second.
things
Do you
that she
think one?
was wrong about.
Well, let's leave out the possibility that one person might have been lying a lot more than the other. Can we leave that possibility on the table?
I'm just saying that there's a lot of people who are like you who think Orange Man is bad, and it's because of things like that.
I
Because
can
they
give
fact check him
I
on every
no,
single thing,
I can give you
and then
specific reasons why I think he's bad. Like I've been doing the past 3 hours now. He's
because he's a
corrupt.
liar, he doesn't. Yeah, he's corrupt. He doesn't respect the Constitution.
He's tried
What
to steal
else?
an election.
He tried up January 6th. There you go. Is he a 34 count felon?
Lot civilly, yes.
Is he a liable sexual abuser?
Yes.
There you go. Yeah, Orange Man bad. He's just a bad guy.
He's
Joe
not just a
Biden.
bad guy. These are based in facts. That's like me saying that you're just a bad guy, but I don't know anything about you. Now, you could critique me for that, but if I can list out things that can't be refuted because these are actual facts, if I can list out things why this person is bad.
Did he raw dog Stormy Daniels?
I'm pretty sure he did. I mean, based on the description that Stormy Daniels gave of his, yeah.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So again, so this is what I'm talking about here. Like the media and the Democrats, they demonize this guy so much where it's like you're just like, he's just this really terrible freaking guy. Like, I don't like Joe Biden.
Do you think telling the truth is demonization?
See, to you, it's the truth. You honestly think everything they say about Trump's the truth?
Okay, let's go back to the last statement. Do you think Stormy Daniels lied about that?
Was raw dog? I have no idea if she did or not, but even if she was telling the truth, he's not the first president that's cheated on his wife.
Of course, but that's not something that somebody just made up. That is an actual fact. If people are speaking facts about this guy, it's not Trump just bad. It's a list of behaviors coming from our president that shows that he's not fit for leadership.
But you've even, at the very beginning, you've even established you don't like a lot of the Democrat corruption. You think it's all bad. So which establishes that, yes, the Democrats are corrupt as well. So again, what makes Donald Trump different or worse?
Billions of dollars.
Okay, so if he wasn't a billionaire, if he was just a millionaire, it would be fine.
He's using his seat to amass billions of dollars, not only for him, but his sons, his son-in-law, and everybody around him. He pardoned a PDF file because he has financial ties to Trump's crypto scheme.
What do you what do you wait? What are you talking? Wait, what? What PDF file are you talking about here?
I'm gonna give you an exact name. I'm gonna give you an exact name because I forgot his name, but I know that he went to jail for that. Yeah, January 20th, 2025. Andrew Paul Johnson. You can look up that name. Anybody watching can look up that name. Andrew Paul Johnson. And he was a convicted, and he was pardoned by Trump.
And that this is a fact. This is actual truth here. There's actual proof, not just hearsay or anything.
There's no hearsay. He was convicted in Florida.
Okay. So you were. I didn't know if you were talking about a January 6er. You're talking about January 6er, right?
No, there's multiple people.
Because I pulled up Andrew Paul Johnson. It's the January 6er.
Shang Ping Zhao, commonly known as CZ.
Shang Ping Zhao?
Yeah.
Isn't that the one that Tim Walz pardoned? Or
no, he was pardoned by Trump. A billionaire co-founder and former CEO of Binance. This same company later invested billions in Trump's cryptocurrency.
How do you spell his last name?
It is ZHAO. Commonly known as CZ.
Oh, yeah, it's still pulling it up.
Okay.
How do you spell his first name?
Let me go. Shang Ping. It's CHANG.
CHANG. PENG. Okay.
Yeah, PENG.
Okay, that's probably why nothing came up, because I butchered his name. Is a Chinese-Canadian billionaire businessman, the founder of Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange by trading volume.
Yes.
Legal base unit related to money laundering sanctions.
Yeah. He was convicted for money laundering. Actual criminal.
Wait a minute. You said that he was convicted for as being a PDF file, though.
Well,
this guy wasn't convicted of being a PDF file.
No, he was convicted of fraud, financial fraud. But the other guy, Andrew Paul Johnson, he was actually a PDF. Yeah.
So, because I when you brought up the PDF file, I thought you were talking about the January 6er. But did he pardon him for being a PDF file?
No, he pardoned him for January 6th.
Okay, so if Joe Biden lets it in illegal and that legal goes and rapes and kills a young girl, is Joe Biden responsible for her or responsible for her death?
Did Joe Biden personally pardon him?
But he let him into the country, though.
Did Joe Biden, was he in jail, and did Joe Biden pardon him personally?
Well, the point is that so Trump didn't pardon him for being a PDF file. He pardoned him for January 6th. What he did afterward has no relevance. That's why I'm trying to say with the Joe Biden example, like, are you going to hold Joe Biden accountable then for any illegals that go and do horrific crimes here?
Did Joe Biden personally let that person into the country?
Well, yes, essentially he did. I mean, did he go there and go walk right this way? No, but because due to his policies, then yes.
The only reason this person is out and was able to do that to a child is because Trump pardoned him.
Same way as Joe Biden. The only way these illegals did those things to children is because Joe Biden let them in.
Biden didn't let anybody in.
10 million people.
I hate the language that some of you conservatives use.
That's the language that you use against Trump.
The assumption that Biden let illegals in.
He essentially
Yeah.
did.
How?
Well, you said the app process. He pretty much
That's
figured
not
out
illegal.
ways. Huh?
Those are not illegals.
Okay. What about the caravans that were coming over here and crossing the border illegally? Then there weren't a bunch of illegals let in under Joe Biden.
Just stop doing their job during the Biden administration.
How about when Joe Biden? What about when Trump
Biden put down on the border that say just let everybody through?
Okay. What about when Biden? Oh, okay. Well, what order did Trump put in when he was like, let this PDF file out? Did he say that?
No, he pardoned them.
He didn't. Yes.
He had.
Yeah,
he has
didn't.
A personal signature.
Did Trump know? Did Trump know that he was a PDF file?
I'm pretty sure that he.
You were pretty sure?
Well, no. Of course, he didn't know that he was that.
Okay, then why do you bring that up? Why is that important?
Because
with that same logic, I could use that for Democrats then letting illegals in.
But you're comparing all Democrats in general
to Trump,
one person.
Yeah, the big bad Trump, the one big bad person, the most evilest person that have ever existed. 34 count felon.
If what was that lady that got assaulted by the illegal? Y'all keep saying her name over and over again.
There's been a few, so I don't know.
I'm talking about the one that was at the State of the Union. What was her name?
Oh, I don't remember. I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I don't remember her name.
Okay,
unfortunately, but
yeah. That's what I'm saying. If y'all want to keep the same energy, keep the same energy. Donald Trump played a part in releasing this guy,
Laken Riley.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is if you feel some type of way about Laken Riley, you should also feel some type of way about this guy getting pardoned and doing that to a child. Keep the same energy.
Why don't you keep the same energy for the illegals? I'm not the one saying, hey, it's good that the thing is that you're framing
why are y'all
it as
not saying this child's name like Laken Riley?
We don't. Is anyone sitting here saying that guy should be freed? That guy got arrested for PDF, for being a PDF file. I'm fine. I already said that earlier. I'm fine with it. I'm not sitting here trying to justify it. I'm not sitting here trying to say like, oh, it's bad. You're sitting here saying, well, these poor illegals, like, oh no, we should just keep letting them in. As long as they promise to be good people and they're here for 10 years, then it should be fine. And we need to make it easier.
No,
like, I'm not sitting here saying that. Like, you guys will defend the illegals. No one's sitting here defending that guy and saying, well, he should be let out. No, throw his ass in jail for PDF, for being a PDF file. Let him rot in hell and in prison.
Traditionally, Democrats are not supportive of illegals.
Yes, they are.
As stated earlier, when you acknowledged that Obama,
they all feel the same way as you. They all feel the same way as you. They all think, oh, these poor abuelas, he raised 2 Marines. He was here 10 years. We need to make it easier path to citizenship. They're just here to work and pick our crops. Like, they all feel just like you. Do you think that there is a bunch of yous made up a party that they wouldn't be more lenient to freaking illegals?
No.
You honestly don't think so?
Was Obama?
We already established that was before the Democrats went completely off the rails.
So you think there's no Democrats in the entire Democratic Party that's like Obama?
If there are, they don't speak up.
Or you're not paying attention.
Okay. Who then? Since I'm not paying attention.
Tallarico.
That guy, dude.
He's spoken out very specifically against illegal immigration in Texas.
Yeah, I don't believe that guy. The guy that's like pro-transing kids.
Even if they do speak up,
he's pro-transing kids. Why would I believe that he's against illegal immigration?
Hold on, transing kids. What do you mean? Explain.
He's for kids transitioning.
Define kid.
Anyone that's let's say underage, I guess.
Do you think 5-year-olds are being transitioned in this country?
I mean, they're maybe not getting any kind of surgery yet, but they're allowed to live as the opposite gender. Yeah,
We're
and their
talking about
pronouns affirmed.
we're talking about transitions, not any of the.
That's the beginning process of transitioning, is allowing them to live in their preferred identity. That's the beginning phase.
Do you think?
Dude, are you honestly defending transing kids right now?
No,
like,
I'm
are you
not.
honestly?
I'm not defending transing kids. What I am defending is government staying out
The way of transing kids?
No, government staying out the way of the household. That's what the Republican Party used to be about. Is small government.
Okay, so if two parents are molesting their kids, the government should stay out of that.
No, that's a crime.
But that's what's going on in the household.
Is transing kids a crime?
Not yet, but it should be.
What I'm saying is that
just because something is not a crime doesn't mean that it's
no. Like, automatically, when you guys say that you want the government to do something, I think about what would happen if the opposite party had that same power. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't buy into that, dude. The Democrats have already done worse.
If the government can stop a parent or force a parent not to do something, what stops the government from forcing a parent to do something about their kids? Like, we have to understand, for this to be constitutional and legal, both ways has to be understood.
The Democrats,
if Republicans want the government to be involved in parenting and in the lives of these kids, and say that, hey, even if the parents might be okay with it, you can't do this with your kids. Fine.
Should kids be forced to be in schooling then? Like, go to public schools? Like, just be like, should they be forced to go through the education system then? Or how about take vaccines?
They are not forced currently. You can be homeschooled, and you don't necessarily have to take vaccines if you don't go to a public school.
Yeah, but you have to be doing some sort of schooling, right? You can't just be a kid at home or whatever. You have to be doing some sort of schooling, if it's not public or private. Well, what if you're not being homeschooled? What if you're not going through the set curriculum that they have for homeschooling, and you're out, I don't know, whatever it is that you're doing, helping on the farm or something like that, and you're not doing that?
Well, I mean, Amish do it every day, don't they? Do Amish kids go to public schools?
That's actually a good question. I don't know.
I'm just asking because I don't know either, but I just automatically start thinking about different things in my brain when you said that. But that's what I'm saying, is that kids don't necessarily have to go to public schools or anything like that. There's not many things in this country that is like an absolute requirement, especially when we're talking about on the individual level. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, but what about in California here, where it's like kids, if they're transitioning, like if they feel like they're the opposite gender, they're able to keep it from their parents. Like, they don't have to disclose it to their parents. They're able to keep it. And if they disclose, if they disclose it to a teacher, the teacher doesn't have to inform the parents. Isn't that interfering in the household?
Yeah, that is a little iffy to me. I don't necessarily agree with that legislation.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. There's bad legislation and overreach on both sides.
Yeah. So when you say, like, well, the other side could do it too, the other side's already doing it. Like, I'm not going to allow the threat of, well, they could do bad thing. It's like, they already do bad thing. So why should we not fight back then?
It depends on your definition of bad, because bad is subjective. You may think abortions are bad, just any abortion. Also, in the cases of incest, whatever, you might think that is bad. I don't.
Yeah. So going back to the transitioning of the kids then, of the children, yes, I guess it's subjective then. But yes, I think transing kids is bad. So yeah, if they put in a law saying you can't transition your children, I would be fine with that.
And I think that's a discussion to be had between the parents, the child, and the doctor and psychiatrist.
Yeah, nah. I just think if
I don't think
18,
government should be involved in that.
well, okay, well then I guess we're just gonna have to vote forever which side wins then, and and just hope
Because
that Democrats don't win.
I think honestly that should be left up to, like I said, the parents, the doctor, and a psychiatrist if they choose.
What about, like, let's say I'm a parent, I want my kid to get a tattoo.
You can sign a piece of paper to give them a tattoo.
So you're fine with that?
It depends on how old that kid is.
Okay.
I mean, if I know, like,
well,
I live in Mississippi where people get married at freaking 16 and 17. So I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like,
yeah, but I'm just saying that you won't want the government to tell people what to do in the household. We already do it all the time. So if the government was like, no tattoos for your kids, you would be fine with that.
But it doesn't. In this case, government.
So you would be fine with it. You would be fine with it because you think tattoos is wrong, exactly? Right? Kids getting tattoos.
As long as the parent approves it, I don't see anything wrong with it.
You don't think the government should step in? What if let's say my daughter was like, let's say she's 8 years old, right? And she's like, you know what? I want to get breast implants.
Oh my God. Good luck finding a plastic surgeon that's wanting to do that. But I don't think that.
Hey, before we would have thought the same thing about transing kids.
What?
But now look where we're at. Look where we're at. Before 20 years ago, we would have been like, hey, transing your kids, nah. But now look where we're at, where now it's a debate. Like, hey, is it okay? How do you know in the next 20 years, young girls want to get breast implants and that doesn't become a topic? And there's people like you, well, listen, I don't think the government should have a say.
8 years old.
I don't think the government should have a say.
8 years old.
Whatever you want to do in your house.
And that's why I say it should always be up to the parents, the child, a doctor, and a psychiatrist, because any credible doctor worth his weight would recommend against that.
No credible doctor. So now if a doctor says, yes, this kid should transition, that's a credible doctor. 20 years ago, that would not have been a credible doctor.
Doctors don't make
that now decision. It's a credible doctor now everything's changed where that's credible now.
Doctors don't make.
How do we know in 20 years?
Doctors don't make a decision whether or not a child should be transitioned. Usually, from the stuff that I've seen, it's a collective decision. And that kid has seen multiple psychiatrists, and the parents understand this child. I assume that most parents wish the best for their child, right? Can we agree? Most people who are raising their child in their home actually care for their child.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
But there could be a lot of people that are misguided that would be like, hey, I think transitioning my kid who don't know any better, maybe trust the doctors or something, and I think this is what's best. So, okay, let's say I want the best for my daughter. She's being made fun of. The girls are saying, hey, freaking itty bitty titty committee, hey, you can't hang out with us. So my daughter's distraught. She's getting bullied. She's like, you know what? I think I want breast implants, Dad. And then I go to a doctor. They say that's fine. A psychiatrist, they say that's fine. Then is it okay?
How old is she?
Let's say, let's be a little bit more generous. Let's say 11 years old.
You're talking about breasts in 11 at the age of 11?
Yes.
Okay. Even if that was the case, how does that help that child? That's where the psychiatrist comes in, because even
they wouldn't be bullied. They would be less bullied. They would be less distraught. They wouldn't hate going to school every day. They wouldn't be insecure with themselves because they're really insecure with their bodies. So, hey, wouldn't that help them mentally? Wouldn't I be helping my daughter to affirm?
Do you think people transition because they're bullied and uncomfortable with their bodies?
Yes, that's the excuse that the left says. Oh, they're bullied. The society mistreats them. They don't feel comfortable in their body. That's exactly what the left says.
So let's get a baseline here. Can we agree that gender dysmorphia is an actual thing?
Yes.
So gender dysmorphia is a verifiable thing that we can point to within humans. That happens
Yes.
within humans.
Correct.
How do you propose treating that?
I don't know, but I know it's not transitioning them at a young age. It's the same thing. Like if I'm a schizophrenic and I think the radio is talking to me, you don't affirm me by saying, yes, the radio talks to Vic all the time. They have conversations over there. No, you correct me, you put me on some sort of medication treatment or something. So where I don't think the radio is talking to me. You don't affirm me by telling me the radio's talking to me.
What kind of medication can you take for gender dysmorphia?
I don't know, but it's better. It has to, but there has to be a better solution than just chop your penis off.
Come up with one.
I'm not a freaking doctor. Why don't the doctors come up with one? That's not just they come up with medication or just chop your penis off.
Most people that have transitioned still have their genitals.
Why?
Because they don't care for chopping it off.
Why? If they really feel like they're a woman?
Because it's more about being accepted as that.
And being accepted means allowing men to go into women's locker rooms and bathrooms and sports.
Wait, what? No, I'm not saying allow trans athletes in men's sports or
that's part of affirming their identity.
That's not necessarily true.
Yes, it is. That's the whole reason why they're like, oh yeah, let me in here because that's affirming my identity. And if you don't, you're being a bigot or you're going to cause me to unalive myself.
There's a maybe I'm a little bit more to the middle on this than the average liberal Democrat or whatever. But all I'm saying is that the sports situation, that's very, how you would put it, that's very small percentages. So let's make that clear.
It should be zero. It should be zero.
And
it should be 0%.
Even if that is the case, I don't think trans people are playing in like, for example, a trans woman playing in a woman's sport, right? I don't think that should happen.
Okay.
But I think that they should still have the rights of any other American and be recognized as an individual in America. And have the right to exist, to do anything any other American does. Besides, being in those sports, because we separate genders for a reason, right? If a person has already went through puberty or anything like that, has higher bone density, all these different things, that's going to lead to a situation where we're having different people. It's going to lead to a situation where people don't really trust sports anymore or believe in sports anymore. And that's not something that we really want to do in that situation. But as far as having the right for them to exist, having the right for them to seek the care that they want or any of that, I think that should happen. I believe that as long as you're American, you should have the right to do anything you want. I mean, as long as it's legal,
As long as it's legal.
Yeah.
Well, I don't believe that. I don't believe we have the right to do whatever we want. I don't believe in rights. I believe in that we have privileges granted by the government. I don't think we have rights. I believe we have duties, and I don't think it's our duty to do whatever we want. I just don't. Us doing anything that we want has led to our current society, and so yeah, our current society where we have the Pride months, we have the Pride parades, we have the transing of the children. We're debating, hey, is it okay to trans children? We have the celebration. We have naked men in the street.
Because majority of these so-called children that is not even getting their stuff cut off, they're just taking puberty blockers, and y'all call that transitioning. They're like 16 or 17. They're not 8-year-olds. They're not 5-year-olds. They are literal sexually active young
5-year-olds. 5-year-olds, even if they're not taking puberty blockers, are still being raised as the opposite gender. Boys are raised to wear dresses. Girls are raised to, look like boys.
I
That's
haven't
not
seen too many
right,
of
and that's
that.
not natural.
I haven't
Yeah,
seen too many of that. You might find individual cases because, of course,
there should
parents
be
are not.
zero cases. Zero
That's
cases.
your opinion. I
Have
mean,
you ever have you ever seen Sleepaway Camp? It's a horror movie.
Sleepaway what?
Camp.
Is that with the Bacon guy in it? Kevin
No.
Bacon?
No. Oh, actually, wait, was he? I don't think it was. But the point is that the killer ends up to being this girl who is actually a boy that was raised as a girl. Like, and that's the big twist at the end. That this was a disturbed young boy because they were forced to be raised as a girl by their overbearing, I think, aunt. And I know that's a movie, but what I'm trying to say is back then that was seen as like a horror plot. Now it's just life for some kids, and that's just not right. That is abuse.
Okay. If you're gonna use that, okay, but I don't really know of any cases where the child has come out and said that they were forced to transition. Now, I have seen cases where I think teenagers have transitioned and they've come back and said that they've regretted it. Situations like that, of course, I've seen that. But compared to the actual number of total people that have transitioned, it's very low.
What's it go? Yeah, John Money was someone who did that experiment. He raised like these twins, one of them as a girl and the other one was a boy. And I believe the one that was raised as a girl ended up unaliving himself eventually when he grew up.
Wait, when did this happen? Was this like some type of experiment that he was doing on his kids?
Yeah, he was doing this experiment, raised one of them like a girl. Later on, learned what had happened because I think he suffered an accident down there, and so he was raised like a girl. And he found out later on because he didn't feel natural.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And he ended up unaliving himself when he got him.
Yeah, that's something completely different. That is a overbearing parent. I think even the recommendations of the psychiatrist was at that point in time was saying that the parent shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, but kids don't know. Like if kids see this propaganda, like boys can be girls and girls could be boys, it's just gonna become natural. Like, oh, well, maybe I'm a girl, and they don't really know. And then the parents who don't know any better, or maybe they do know better, they're just freaking crazy lefty people, and they raise their kid to be the opposite gender. That's just not normal. It's not right. And I don't think they should have a right to do that.
Do you think what you're attracted to is a choice?
That's iffy, but I don't think you're born that way.
So I could eventually learn to be attracted to men?
Well, what do you think people in prison do?
That's a lack of anything else. I'm talking about me in a free world. I have access to men, women, everything in between.
Well, I mean, look, personally,
I have my whole life I've been only attracted to women, but I can just wake up.
Same with people in prison. Same with people in prison. They've been attracted to women, but because there's nothing else, they gotta, No,
that's what you say. How
and
do you call
it? and it is a choice because you don't have to, bang guys. You could just stay celibate while you're in prison until you get out. Just, freaking, pleasure yourself until you get out or something.
Well, I'm talking about free individuals. I don't think that. Look, humans can do a lot to get their euphoric senses off. Specifically, men go through a lot of lengths to get those euphoric senses off. And with the lack of anything else, of course, I think they would gravitate towards some of the more feminine men in jail. But if you're free and you have access to any gender, every gender, whatever, I don't see a world where you genuinely can pick and choose what you're attracted to.
Well, it's the same way. It's not picking and choosing, but like with anything else in life, you obviously have preferences that maybe you might not know why you have these preferences. Like, for instance, are you born? I don't know. What's your favorite food, for instance?
I would say gumbo.
Okay. Do you think you were born liking gumbo, or do you think that
I don't know.
due to your childhood experiences or the way you were raised, you grew up to really like gumbo?
I guess I grew up to kind of like gumbo.
I think it's the same way with homosexuality. I don't think you were born liking the same sex. I think that due to maybe experiences in your childhood or the way you were raised, something happens there and you're attracted to the same sex.
Mm. So using that logic, that brings into question gender dysmorphia, right?
Uh-huh.
Because then we have to ask, is that a choice?
Well, we've already established that I think gender dysmorphia
Is
is
a thing?
is an actual mental illness. I just don't think that the solution is to affirm it and have the rest of the world affirm it. And because that's what leads to them going into the women's bathrooms, the women's locker rooms, women's sports, and all these things. I don't think that's the solution, especially with the kids, like underage kids. I don't think that's the solution, is my point. I think that if there could be a different method, same way with schizophrenia, like it's not a choice to be schizophrenic, but they have medications so where you don't hear the voices. I think we could probably do the same with gender dysmorphia.
Yeah. I mean, I would I would it would be interesting trying to medicate something like that. I would be interested in seeing the attempts of some of these pharmaceutical companies trying to test that on animals, but I digress. What I'm saying is that, to bring this whole debate back to its original claim, regardless of the trans stuff, because I might be a little bit more center than most on my
Mhm.
party leanings. Donald Trump is a bad president, and he's the worst president of my lifetime. And I'm just straight up saying that he's the worst president of my lifetime. Oh yeah, I wanted to get into the foreign policy a little bit too, because this Iran war situation is probably the most consequential thing leading up to these midterm elections, which is going to be a big time for most content creators. I think
Um,
he's digging a hole for his own party, and he's setting them up for failure.
well, listen, that I think that's something where we might have some common ground there. I'm not a huge fan of the Iran war either. So, and I do think it could hurt him in the midterm. So you're not gonna find too much disagree. There might be some specific things I might disagree with you on, but I think on that whole thing in general, I probably won't disagree with you too much on that.
How do you feel about the deal that he put on the table, which was actually worse than the Obama Iran deal that was agreed 2 years ago?
I would have to look at the actual details of the deal because I briefly looked into it and off the top of my head, I don't remember. So I don't have a strong opinion on that.
Yeah, I think some of the pinpoints was that they keep their nuclear material, which Trump calls it dust. I don't know why, but they
Mhm.
keep their uranium. They get unfrozen funds as the Obama deal, but I think it's more funds being unfrozen. And I think they still, well, of course, they opened up the strait, but after like 30 days or 2 months, they can take a toll, which never happened before this war. Um, but you can look that up and
Yeah.
show it to your audience. I'm just saying that this whole Iran war situation is very concerning. I think this is a war for our ally in the Middle East. I don't want to say his name for fear of other things happening to your channel.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think this is a war for our ally in the Middle East that very much wanted this war going back to the 90s.
Okay. Well, like I said, there might be little things I might disagree with you on there, but overall, I'm not a big fan of the Iran war. I wanted to hold off my opinion on it until more time went on.
Yeah.
But now that more time has gone on, if you were to give me a button and press this, and he would have never done this, I probably would press the button. So, let's listen. We've gone 4 hours. Like it's getting late for me, and I know it's getting late for you too. I want to say, even though we disagree with a lot, I do appreciate this debate and this conversation.
Oh yeah.
So thank you very much for coming on and also being really respectful too. I always appreciate a respectful conversation.
Oh yeah.
So I appreciate that. Is there anything that you would like to plug where people could find you?
Oh yeah. You can reach me at Real Talk Politics TV. Yeah, that's it. I'm still kind of new to this political debate world, so I'm trying to get my foot down. I think I only got like a couple hundred subscribers. I'm nothing like you guys, but I'm trying, and I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate the politeness and everything like that. You know, it's always a good sign to have people disagree, but still have a way to have some type of discourse and come to some type of understanding at the end of the conversation without somebody completely raging and quitting out the debate. And I've seen people on my side of politics do that and on the other side. So I don't really agree with that. It's time to make debate easy to watch again. I don't want to say great again because obvious reasons, but it's time to make debate like educational and positive to watch again, because we don't need to be calling each other names. We don't need to be cussing each other out. We just need to have a battle of ideas at the end of the day, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it too, man. And like you got to start somewhere. I'm also not that experienced in debate either. So anyone that always wants to challenge me, I need the practice. So I appreciate you coming on, debating me. Yeah, man. I hope you have a good one, man. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Appreciate it.
All right. That was Real Talk Politics. Donald of Real Talk Politics. Oh, man. Yeah. You know, we agree on most things, and I do think it's TDS, it's most of the time with these lefties. But again, he was polite. He kept it civil, very calm. So again, he's willing to have the conversation. And so I appreciate that. So I give him credit for that. So if you guys want to follow him, make sure you check out his channel at Real Talk Politics. Guarantee he's going to immediately talk shit about Vic. Well, he does. Let me get to the super chats, guys. Casper the Lord Swift, member for 4 months. Trump has been a billionaire since the late 80s, Vic. This guy's making shit up. Also, what does he mean crypto is immoral? Yeah, I know. It's the Brian Shapiro talking points. Crypto company, it's immoral. It's like, well, how is it in itself immoral? Zombie for the $5. Statistics show distribution, usage, and production happens more in the black communities. Cops are much more likely to get shot by blacks than ever. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's a good point. Ty Perp for $4.99. Floyd died of a heart attack caused by drug-induced excited delirium, not an E. Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Ty Perp. Hoop Jargon for the $4.99. When you vote here in Cali, they only verify your name, date of birth, and address. That's it. Yep, exactly. That's what I was trying to tell him. I was like, no, they don't ask for. They don't ask for like if you were born here. They don't ask for birth certificate or anything or ID. They just match your address and your date of birth and your name, and that's it. Zombie for the $5. Anybody who gets married will be getting a new license. This license now is going to be Real ID. Anybody can go to the RMV and get a new one. Get one now. Zaffanil for the $5. What's wrong with no women voting? Yeah. You know, I was thinking that when he was talking about married women weren't going to be able to vote. I wanted to say that. I was like, what's wrong with that? But I didn't want to go down that route. I was just like, let's stick it on the topic. Ty Perp for the $4.99. The guy on the student visa doesn't have the same freedom of speech as citizens. His visa can be revoked for promotion of acting against U.S. interests. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. The Mahmoud Khalil, that's the first thing I actually debated anybody on. I debated that against Pisco on his channel. And It was a while ago, so I forgot the details. But yeah, that's what he was doing, and that was the same talking point Pisco used too. Like, oh, freedom of speech, you should be allowed to say anything. And I think I used that same point, and I was like, well, no, he was here on a green card status, which can be revoked. So, Zaffanil for the 5. How did his friend work with the sheriff's office without social security number? That's a good point. Fried for the 4.99. What due process did illegals get under Obama versus Trump? That would have been a good question to ask, Fried. I should have asked that. Mrs. D, thank you very much for the Australian $14.99. Proud of you, Vic. Cooking. Watch out, Bryce Shaft. Yeah, I try. Brian, you know what? That guy was much smarter than Brian Shapiro. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna do a Brian Shapiro is really gonna have to like surprise me. Like he's like, I'm actually gonna have to study new talking points, but I'm still gonna study for Bryce Shaft. Don't get me wrong. But I think this guy is a little bit smarter than Brian Shapiro. Mrs. D for $7.99. Are you not entertained, chat? Send yours or your husband's money now. That's right. Thank you very much, Mrs. D. I appreciate it. Jay Saul for the $4.99. I was gone for a couple of hours. I thought this guy was kind of reasonable before I left, but now he's shown he's totally bad faith, zero consistency. Yeah, it's just Orange Man bad.